warm day. It's going to be warm today. I got a lot of plans I do on a warm day. Maybe somebody's got questions for you on your compost. These are big chairs. We can't get close. We can't see anything. Oh, look, it's telling you we went live. Or somebody went
Yeah, I
live.
got a notification.
So we'll just sit back. Everybody's probably enjoying the beautiful warm day. So that's what we're doing. I'm actually testing something I bought and I have never used. Let me see if I can move this a little bit. Oh, yes. Roughy. Rug, Ruffy? Roughy is there?
Ruffy. I'm
Ruffy.
trying to.
There I am. I might be able to read it better on my phone. Oh, we have a whole bunch.
Oh, yes.
We have nothing to say, so we're going to sit here and bore you as I drink my ice water. No, if you've got any questions, this is a good time to ask him. I've got him sitting down, and I still don't even know where the camera is. So let me look and see. Hold it. All right, now I know what the camera is. It's right there, Gary. So,
Right, okay.
right in the corner there.
Okay, Ruffy like a fish, like an orange Ruffy.
Like an orange Ruffy. I haven't gone fishing in years. Used to fish with my dad. I loved it. Get up in the morning and then go fishing early. Okay, I'm going to be rude. It looks like I'm on my phone, but I'm not. It's easier to read that than to stick my face in my tablet. What I did was, I want to see, let me see if I can get in here. Oh, the picture looks really good. Now, you know why? Because I am hardwired into the Ethernet. Yes, I'm
hard. Look better.
I've never used, oh, I just kicked the table. I can't move. Uh-oh, hold it. There's all kinds of stuff under the table.
I'm just gonna.
Can you move that all the way so I can move my foot? You got it?
Yep.
This morning, because I'm going to go work on seeds and planting, and I looked at this little piece and I thought it's an Ethernet plug for my tablet. Wish I had one for my phone. And then I'd walk all over with a 500-foot cord. But I thought I might try it. So we've got it plugged into a modem in your little greenhouse room.
Okay.
And that's hardwired. Now, I don't know how good the cord is because I tried something else the other day with a wireless thing and it did not work. So I don't know if it's the modem that's like the first one they ever made or if it's the wire. So I thought I'd plug it in and try it. So to me, I'm looking here and it looks like it looks pretty good. So if I'm going to miss people, you know how I am. Bear with me, I'm a little slow, but I'm starting to gain speed. So Ruffy, hello. Nicole, hello. Tammy, hello from West Virginia. Sheila Dean, good afternoon. What time is it? Oh, it is afternoon. It's 5 minutes after 12. Shaw, how do you say that? S-H-A, Shaw, oh, I don't want to, Hughes. Shaw, S, I'll let you do that. Oh, look, your friendly little hover, your
Shauna.
Okay, good. I'll let you do that. Ruffy like a fish. James, hello. I'm going to think that's Renee. Yerk, is that right? Hello. Oh, you just started following. Oh, good. I hope I give you good ideas because my mind is still going. I have so many things I'm going to do, and I love that 1/4-inch tubing. I've been using it for a while, and I wanted to make sure it was as good as I thought it was, and that's why I just went bam. I let that thing go because I made the video, and I'm going to have a ton of videos on that.
Okay.
I'm tying. Go ahead, tying it up everywhere.
Yeah, this
Jody, Sandra, Connie Davison. Hello, Connie Davison. Let's see, Backyard Garden Flow 2021. Hi, everyone. Good. Say hi to everybody. Talk among yourselves if you want to.
I'm trying to get, there's been a bunch of questions.
Oh, good. You do the questions?
Okay, Irish T15. Do I ever put food scraps in the layering? Personally, I don't, because the food scraps goes into Robbie's gardening, her totes. So I'm just using from my garden and the weeds that I collect around the yard.
I'll share a little. He doesn't need it.
Quantity. It's based on quantity. So for a large compost bin, I would if I did, but for a large compost bin, you know, I'm just using like yard waste and garden waste, But for a tote or something like that, that's when you start putting layering in food scraps.
I was surprised. I gotta remember to look there. I was surprised. He set one of those bins. Thistles are in there, and you can't grab that with your hands. I mean, they're needles. But when they break down, they all disappear, which is amazing. And it just completely is breaking down. I can't believe it was filled to the top, and it's like halfway now. It's just falling and falling so quickly.
Yeah.
So it breaks down everything.
And roughly, how many varieties of dragon fruit do we have? Let's see, I've got mostly white. I've got a purple variety, red variety, and we just started seeds of the yellow dragon fruit. So the yellow dragon fruit, we don't know how well that will do here, because if it did really well, everybody would have it, because that's a really nice tasting fruit. So we're just going to plant a lot of seeds, and the ones that survive will run with that.
We have over 100. But the thing is, I've got them on top of my fridge, and I'm scared to take them down. They're in a pencil box. They've gotten about that tall now, some of the yellow dragon fruit. But we get so cool, and I moved one little one, and I thought it died, but it didn't. And it's got stunted right away. So I've left it on top of my refrigerator. Did I say refrigerator? Yep. Refrigerator. And as soon as our weather gets stable, I want to come in here real quick, because I know you're going through questions. Maria, I want to thank you. I know last night we were chatting on here, and I want to thank you for your kind words. And I know she knows that you can see it, because I'm not an actress, so I'm very transparent when I go on and do my stuff now. I just want to thank, it's not just you, everybody had wonderful kind words, but she wrote me this long thing on going on, and it's really hard. I'll tell you, for me, and you know what I'm talking about, and I don't want to really talk about it. Are we gone?
I'm not sure, it said.
It is the wire then. Son of a gun. And that's why I wanted to test this. No, it's gone.
No, we're back.
Are we back?
Yep.
Everybody's still there? Okay. It might be the wire. Maybe we should try a new wire.
Which one? The blue?
This
blue
thing
wire?
is so old.
Yeah, it's probably a Cat 5 or something like that. We need to get
yeah, if it does it again, I might be able to unplug and go straight onto Wi-Fi. But the thing is, if I can stay plugged in, I have a good picture. But anyways, Maria, I want to thank you. I know you've gone through a lot yourself, so I'm working on it. I am working on it. I gave Jack a piece of broccoli yesterday. I was on the deck, and he ran in the house with it, and he was throwing it around, and he's blind. Jack is Kitty's brother, and he's older than her by over a year. And he was throwing it in the air, but the problem is he has to go by smell. I don't know what this was all about. And so he'd drop it, and he had to look all over for it, and then he found it again and threw it in the air, and then he ate it. So, and Molly, I gave her a piece of broccoli the other day, and she took it in the house and hid it somewhere, probably so nobody would give it to her again. So they're all so funny. Anyways, thank you, Maria. And I don't want to take everybody's time up, because I know a lot of you guys have questions. Tammy, Robbie's hummingbird fountain is awesome. Oh, easy to make. Okay, she might be answering somebody. I need to make more. I've got another one. If I pull myself together and get it, I think it's going to blow everybody's mind. And I have to get that one together. So I actually made one, and I need to get it on video. Anyways, go ahead and answer questions.
All right. Nicole S., is it better to start seeds indoors or out in the garden?
You ask? I start a lot on my windows. I wonder if I can if I unplug, then we'll have a lousy picture again. That's why
okay, we're back.
Yeah, I know, but we can't keep going on and off. It's going to drive everybody crazy.
Okay.
So anyways, you do it whatever way works for you according to your weather. I can now start seeds outside in my green totes that I set up as little greenhouses and get them in there, because you have to protect them, because otherwise you'll get insects in them, or birds will literally come and pull them out and eat them, because they love sprouted seeds, and that's a sprouted seed when it first comes up. So you could start either way, but I do a lot on the windowsill, simple ones, just because I can keep an eye on it. But I've got a lot in shoebox. You know, that's what I was going to do today. I was going to show another way I'm doing it in shoeboxes. It's easy, because I start them in the house, and now I'm moving them outside. How do you start your seeds? Or I'm not starting all your seeds.
Well, I start mine indoors, and when they get to size, I move them out. That way I avoid any insects eating them. That's the main thing. And I think it depends on the plant too. A lot of mine are more tropical, so I have to wait until the weather's good to put them out.
Connie, my dogs only eat broccoli and stir fry. Oh yeah, they'll all eat that. It tastes good. Can't wait to see it. Well, I've got to get something together. I went to go work on that, and then I found this piece for the Ethernet, and I thought this was going to be so good. So I'm not going to write it off yet. I'm going to get a new cord, because this cord, oh, I don't even know how old this cord is. It's really old. So is the modem, but I thought it was, we'll plug it straight in the Spectrum.
Yeah.
And do it that way.
Okay, Bonnie Horton, she's in Missouri. A farmer told her that it's too late to start seeds. So it all depends on your climate as well.
Who said that? Can start seeds and we still grow all summer and put a lot of different things out because we're going to stay warm until November. I don't know how long you'll be warm for, and it also depends on what you want to grow. So that's the thing, because you have tomatoes. If you're going to grow big tomatoes, maybe it's too late for that, but for cherry tomatoes it may not be, because they produce immediately and they ripen so fast. Where a big tomato, I always talk about that, they've got to get to size before they get ripe. Peppers, go with smaller peppers if you like peppers. Again, I don't know what your weather is and temperatures. I'll let you do this. Are you ready? You have another question?
No, I haven't gone back up. I know I've missed some.
Oh, we're going to miss a lot. Like I said, I was testing this piece, so now I'm back to the drawing board. I'm going to order a new cord and try that. Irish tea. She's learned so much from us. Oh, she's in Eastern. He or she.
Okay, it's hot until
Eastern
September.
Washington.
In Missouri, it's hot until September.
Hello, Sylvia.
So it depends on what sort of plants you want to grow too, and I would say try it, because just because someone else hasn't had success doesn't mean that you're not going to have success. So I would try it. You know, all you're going to do is learn something, if it works or it doesn't work.
Yeah, see, I don't know. Again, I would have to know a little bit more information as far as, don't kick the table, try not to, as far as your weather. And see, I'm still starting zucchini seeds right now. I mean, literally, like I haven't even planted them yet today. Some of them I didn't get out, and so they're leggy. And zucchini, you can't really plant those outside leggy. Oh, no, let me correct myself. I am planting them outside leggy, but it's not working because they can't. But tomatoes you can. They don't really leggies because you can drop them. But I'm going to plant new ones, and I know here when our weather gets warm, like it's just today is the first warm day, they just take off. Literally, the plants, as soon as they come up and they start to grow overnight. I'm losing all my watermelons right now because we're still too cold at night, and they started to grow. We had a warm spell. Now that's cooled off, it's cool and damp. They're all fizzling out. So I'll start more watermelons. So for us, it's not too late. Go ahead.
Okay, cul-de-sac grocery garden.
Thank you, Sheila.
Answered Bonnie Horton. Clyde's Garden Planner. John Cole has brought that up before, and that'll give you the charts on when it's good to grow certain plants in your zone.
Ruffy is down the road from us. How far there is the road? Oh, it's spelled it out. Where am I?
Shayana?
Shayana? LOL. No, I know that's not part of it. Is it Nina? It's so nice to see you guys together. We're together all day. Usually, though, he's somewhere else and I'm somewhere else. Sharing so many wise garden tips to all of us. Thank you. Oh, you are so welcome. Sylvia's a newbie. And the tubing one are over. Oh, it's the tubing. That tubing. You could just sit down and start writing a list on what you could do with that 1/4-inch tubing. You can make hooks out of it. I made a little decor had to cut it longer. My hummingbird would have had a longer tail. I can tie plants. I'm tying established plants. I tied up, I don't even think I put in my great big tree collar I tied up. I just everything. I mean, anything and everything in the house, in the car. You can make a headband. No, you could, but there's just, I'm going to actually, because of the way it bends, I'll give away my video that I haven't worked on yet. I'm going to bend it around the plants now, and I'm going to get more lettuce growing, because though some people say you can't grow it in the summer, we can't. Just find a shady place and keep it covered and well watered. Sell it any night, and I'm going to make sure I get that going all year. Go ahead.
No, I wasn't.
Sylvia is in Greenville, South Carolina. Sally from Mississippi. Thank you. Bonnie. Hey guys. Love what you do. I know it's terrible. It looks like we're reading, but it's easier to read than like you don't want to see my face down there. Oh, Maria was happy to find this live. I know. I think we usually do it when she's sleeping. Switch your hours. No, I'm kidding. Gosh, I was still up at 2 o'clock in the morning last night. Let's see. Renee, she's in Michigan. Haven't seen any hummingbirds yet. The hummingbird, oh my gosh. That said $10.
Maria. That's
No,
euros,
Maria.
Yeah.
Maria. Okay. Stop it. You're a struggling mom. Take that money and say, hey, Robbie, I was going to give you some money, and you told me not to, and I went out and had a hot fudge sundae. I'd be so happy. Or buy some seeds. I appreciate everything you do. Stop it. Buy your son something. Thank you, really. Thank you. It's greatly appreciated. Believe you me, thank you. But I mean it. Enough. I forgot what I was saying. Gosh. Oh my gosh. What was I saying?
I missed it.
I missed it too. Do you have any advice on earwigs? That was something you were excited to hear about, because you heard that earwigs are predators.
Yeah, I didn't think of them as predators, because I thought of them as a nuisance. But I guess they're what's the right term for it?
Yeah, but because I have never looked them up before. They're both. So that's the issue.
Yeah, they're omnivores.
So they will love to eat aphids and other insects, which is a good thing. And then when they get bored, it's kind of like your goldfinches that come and eat all my greens. Then they'll turn around and eat your plants. I'll tell you what I do with roly-polies. And you could probably do the same thing with the earwigs. I take a lot of leaf matter when I'm setting up my totes now, like it could be lettuce, it could be anything, and I pile it in a corner. This way, in that corner where the leaf matter is breaking down, I will find roly-polies, earwigs. They'll gravitate to breaking down stuff, and they leave my plants alone. So give that a try. Did somebody else just... Oh, a new member.
No, she's welcoming members.
No,
That means new?
I think it
Or
means...
it just means a member. Wait.
Member, welcome. Okay. Oh, she just became a member. Thank you. And the name is A.G. Angela.
Evangelina.
Okay, let him do that. Oh, thank you. Let's see, Bonnie. Oh, I am way.
Let's see.
Hummingbirds, that's what I was talking about too. I never finished that. They're acting different. I literally have a handful. I'm gonna say we probably have 100, if that, maybe 200. Oh, the wind is blowing and something, look at that. I got dust, pollen, I can feel it. So they're moving around differently because of all the flowers this year, the super bloom. So some of you may not see them yet because they're slow. Hey, if they find food, they're gonna stay there. Wouldn't you? Free food? That's what they're doing. So it's gonna be a little different this year, and it'll be interesting to see when they come back. You were gonna say something.
Let's see, there was a question.
So earwigs, try the pile of leaves and see if you can do that. If not, I was picking them up and throwing them out at the totes. They climb though.
You can say a toilet paper roll with some corrugated cardboard rolled up inside, and they'll go in there to hide. If you can give them a hiding place, they'll go in and hide.
I noticed that. Gee, I'll tell you what mine were. I don't know. take a piece of the 1/2 inch or 1/4 inch irrigation tubing, cut a couple pieces and drop it in the tote. I have actually found them inside the irrigation tubing, and maybe you can get them in there and then shake them out or pull it out and sit it somewhere. The only thing bad about earwigs is they literally can zip right up the side of a tote where your roly-polies can't. I didn't know that. I saw that the other day, how fast they can go up plastic. But you might be able to make little traps like that for them out of the tubing.
Yeah,
They
that
actually
would
hide
work.
inside. I haven't tried. I'm going to make something else out of the tubing. I don't know if I can say it. I guess it doesn't matter, does it?
I don't know.
I don't know when I'm going to get to it. I might get to it today. We have a hot day. I'm going to make a bug house. Actually, a bee house out of the irrigation tubing. I already started it, and I was waiting for a warm day because it's so easy to cut the 1/2 inch tubing. Okay, my voice. There's stuff in the air right now. And so I think the earwigs will go in there. Try it. Anything's worth trying.
Ask Mama Louise. It took about 4 to 6 months, depending on the time of the year, for the compost to break down in my compost bins. I set some up near Robbie's garden, and they're breaking down faster because the ones that I showed in the video were set up before winter, in late fall, I guess. So it's been cooler weather, and that does affect how fast it breaks down. And the ones in Robbie's garden, because we're a little warmer now, it's breaking down faster. So it'll take 4 to 6 months, I suppose. And that's in our climate. Every climate's going to be different, and every growing condition's going to be different. So I would say 4 to 6 months.
Could it also be, I don't know what you do with yours, but since the hose is right there, I water it all the time. Would that break it down quicker?
Yeah, you need to keep it.
I hose it.
You need to keep it hydrated.
Let's see, I know we're going to miss a ton because I just realized I'm way early on the questions. I heard a truck. Melinda Roth. Is it determinate or indeterminate to me? Robbie, is it which one are we talking about? That you can break off the pieces and plant new plant. You can do it to either one, but I think indeterminate grow faster. So, but you can do it to either one. So if you've got a determinate, do it early on. Again, the plant's got to grow and then set fruit. But I'm really an indeterminate, more tomato person. She's graduating. Granddaughter with her bachelor. Okay, this is not
You
going
must
to work.
reconnect pretty quick.
Yeah, but I'm hoping it's the cord. I think I can do it a little differently if you can hardwire it straight into the Spectrum box and get a new cord and get a really good, maybe a Cat 6 or a Cat 7. I don't know what that one is. Most of the tomato, I don't know. Wait a minute. You're starting to grow your miniature ones, whatever they're called. Are those
Dwarf
are they
tomatoes?
determinate or indeterminate or semi? Because I don't know on the I'm growing the Rosie Finch, and I'm not sure.
I don't know if they're offhand. I don't know if the dwarf tomatoes are determinate or indeterminate. The ones that I've got, I believe they're indeterminate, but they don't grow that tall. So they'll continue to grow until they get killed off by the cold weather.
I didn't even put that video up. I was going to put up a video on sun golds, which it's done. I might put it up tomorrow. That one is an indeterminate, and you'll see how I'm doing all the cuttings. I will say I tried to overwinter them last year, and I only did one, but it wasn't successful. This year, I may try to overwinter them in Gary's room, but here's the problem. When you bring tomatoes in all year, they can get spider mites and different things because the plant struggles, so it may not be worth it. Some you can, but I don't know about those. So every plant is different, and everybody's area is different. Okay, go ahead. Bipolar birding. The hummingbirds made it to Massachusetts. Yay, and I saw somebody else I was going to answer, and I missed it. Okay, if I unplug this, there's something could...
See, I don't know if it's still on there, but it's...
I'm still on here.
Well, now I'm back.
Yeah, this isn't going to
And I
work.
see my finger pointing at the screen, so it might just be I'm picking up from the same...
The problem is we don't have good internet. We have good internet. but we don't have good cell site, and the way we're sitting in the canyon and everything and the way it's going around. So we're trying to figure out how we could do this where it's better, so you don't get this jumpy, cloudy, funky looking picture. And so I'm trying to figure out how to do this, but I'm going to blame it on the wire right now and try one more thing or two things. If we try to go just using Wi-Fi, that gets an issue. If we try to go strictly over the air using the phone system, that we have like 1 bar. So we'll have to figure it out.
Vasiliki has an interesting sort of comment.
Go ahead.
I heard in the old days farmers would place seeds under their tongue in order for the seeds to interact with their DNA and grow nutrients specific to them. I haven't heard that one before.
He must watch George Norrie. So I don't know. That's
no. She's. I'm thinking she's in Australia for some reason.
oh, so they won't watch your trend.
No.
I don't know.
I recognise her.
Angela's still thanking us. Thank you, Angela. Thanks much for sending blessings for you and family. Thank you. Do you prune the pepino melon plants? I did. I pruned off anything that looked bad, and I pruned it back the other day to greener leaves. You can prune those, take your prunings and stick them in a cup with soil and keep it damp, and they root really easy too. Do you prune yours?
I do when they get in my way.
Okay.
And everywhere they touch the ground, if they get covered a little bit, they'll set root. So they're very easy to, once you get a good plant, it's very easy to take cuttings, put it in water, put it in soil. It just wants to grow. If you can get them growing. It's tough to get them growing from seed originally, but once you have them, then you can keep them going.
Yeah, but I think we've got the same plant we got years ago, and I bought the fruit that day. I called you. I didn't even know what this thing was. I said, I don't know what this is, and I called him. He goes, buy me one. I think we bought 2, and there was like 3 seeds inside. And ours have not had seeds usually, right? We found seeds once.
Yeah.
So we do it now from cuttings.
I think we didn't have the right pollinator. When the horsefly-like bees showed up,
they like purple flowers.
Everything started to be pollinated. So they must have been drawn to them.
That could be. I don't know, because while we're sitting here, they've been coming around, and I do have flowers on my pepinos. Will it cut back the production? I don't know if it depends on how much you prune it. Mine don't produce like the whole plant doesn't get full. Flowers form here, and then it has fruit, and then flower. You never know where the flowers are going to form. So will it cut back production? I don't know. But if you cut it way back, it will. If you have questions, keep going.
No, they do well with pruning. Mine do well with pruning, but I let them go wild and then prune them if they're in my way.
Nicole wants to know, do we get hummingbird moths too? Yeah, I did a short on that. Yes, we do. And they come out before the sun goes down, and they're flying around. They're not really a good thing, but, but they're so pretty when they're a moth, because a lot of them are like the tomato hornworm. They eat the tomato plants. The caterpillar. You never get them all anyways. The orioles come in and wipe them out. And then when the orioles leave, they leave around September, when the hummingbirds are coming in big time, and that's when we'll have an explosion sometimes of hornworms, because there's nothing there to eat them, and they'll eat them when they're really big. So yes, we do have them. Oh, here we go. Nothing but the truth. Do the chemtrails screw with your plants? I'm going to say no. The only one messing around with my plants are me or critters that sometimes get in. No. I'm not going to. I don't know.
And then Nothing But the Truth was asking about
all
the way down to the bottom, BPA.
Plastics in your plants. I'm worried about it. Do the containers stop it? Well, the containers, first of all, I did a whole video on that, and I went through all the research they've done. Plants are amazing, and think of their roots, how fine they are. The feeder roots, the water roots, they don't pull this stuff up. It's been tested now and everything. Even when they thought kids were getting lead poisoning because they found years ago, they used to paint the houses with lead, and then they'd sandblast it and be in the soil, and they were thinking that the kids were getting lead from the plants that were growing. It's not even true. The plants don't pull up lead. Go do some research on it. Go find my video, because I'll never be able to find it right now. But if you type in Robbie and Gary Gardening Easy and type in plastic, I think it'll show up. I've got the reports and everything. The kids were getting it from playing in the ground, doing mud pies, putting their hands in their mouth, and that's how they were getting lead. Plants have hair-like roots that really, it's the cleanest thing. They pull up the cleanest thing. And they'll say, well, what about fish? You can find lead in it. Well, look at the mouth on the fish. They can swallow lead. We can swallow stuff, but plants don't. So I don't worry about any of that, really. Again, look at the reports, and I'm not going to worry about that. I worry about some chemicals that are liquefied, but as far as plastic, most of your plastics don't drop down. Don't try. I'm looking at the hummingbird. Don't even release anything until it's over 150 to 180 degrees. And if we get that hot out here, I don't think we'll be worried about our plastic totes. So I'm not worried about it. Go ahead. Linda had 50 hummers and 6 feeders. Wow, Santa Clarita. If you're washing your feeders every day, like I take them in 2-3 times a day, sometimes I just wash them really good with hot water. So you can wash them once a day. You use vinegar. Sometimes I put a few drops of bleach in some water, and I have a toothbrush. I stick it in there and wash it around. But you can use vinegar. I also use baking soda. But yeah, if you're taking it in, you can just wash it real good. I always have a toothbrush and a brush that I can kind of swirl around in there and check things over. You don't have to scrub them and bleach them or do anything you want that often. Once every day or every other day. And you don't have to boil the water either, because any of that mold that sometimes you do see if it sits there, it didn't come from the sugar water. It didn't come from your water. It came from the hummingbirds that are foraging around, and they're sticking their beaks in, and they're bringing that in. So just wash it out. There's mold everywhere in nature. Dot Shepherds from Central California. Taylor, I live in California for 57 years now. Moved from the East Coast and see 0 hummingbirds. Hey, Taylor, where do you live? But then my brother didn't see hummingbirds either, and now he put out feeders, and he's got a couple hummingbirds around. That's right in the middle of LA. So they could be around, but it doesn't mean you're going to see them all the time. I'm sitting here, and I only saw one. So, just now. So they could be somewhere else. You have a question?
Johnny Maserati asked about hammerhead worms in the news. I haven't heard about hammerhead worms. I've heard about jumping worms back east that are starting to spread around. I'm not sure about the hammerhead worms.
I'm feeding babies. You probably can't hear it. They're weed whacking. Got weed abatement everywhere. Everybody's taking their flowers down. What are they? Do you know what they are, Hammerhead?
No, I don't know.
Okay, I don't
have to
either.
look into that. It's tough for worms to get to us because of the dry conditions in Southern California, but they could be brought in by soil or plants or whatever at some point.
Lee Crystal Rose is telling me that Spectrum will come out and help. Yeah, they probably would. I mean, I've had them out before, and they've told me, sorry, you're at the end of the line. This is the best you get. So that's what they usually tell me. Could try again. Sunshine Country Chickens, didn't I just see you an hour ago or hear from you? Maybe 2 hours ago. John Kohler.
Yeah, John Kohler.
Yeah, we were watching John's premiere. So we were both there listening.
Okay, so
I know John wants to come. He's got to give me a little time. I'm slow. I had planned on a new garden in the front yard, which may or may not ever happen this year. I'm building a new garden down below. Going on, I slowed down, and then there was the one behind the wall. So, and I still have to finish here. My chair garden's done though. Go ahead.
Okay, hammerheads are flatworms originally from Asia and Madagascar. Okay, so they were brought in probably with plants.
And people move a lot of plants around, so what can you do?
William Veal, what type of passion flip? What is the type of passion flower I grow? I grow purple possum, which is a cultivar developed in Florida, I've found out more about it, and it's a medium-sized passion fruit, and it's a little bit sort of on a slightly sweeter side than regular passion fruit. So it's a good producer. It's smaller than the usual big ones that I was used to in Australia, but I really like them.
They store good.
They store good, and I've got a neighbour friend that likes them too. So
Yeah, they went on vacation and he had them left on his kitchen counter. And when they came back from vacation, his wife said, "Oh, they all shriveled up." And she said, "You can't eat them now." He said, "You bitch, I can." And he cut them open. They were perfect inside. So I don't like passion fruit. There's something about it. I don't know. I guess I'd have to eat it a lot. So let him eat it. I, okay, so Julie R., her hummingbirds took a bath in the fountain yesterday. That's so fun. Got another fountain I just put out where I use just the disc, and it's working really good. I've got to get a few more videos out on that. I know I'm way down. I'm way from the beginning. Oh, they were worried. Okay, so nothing but the truth. Thank you, dear. I got so worried about my family when I put them in containers. I personally wouldn't worry about it. As long as your family is, I mean, if somebody was going through, God forbid, chemo or something, you want to start really being careful. But as on anything, but but if you're just everyday life, you're holding a phone, you're handling stuff, you're in the car, you're breathing in everything. From everything I read and the research I did, plastic is fine to grow in. Again, because plants are the cleanest thing. Where do they get water in the desert? The cleanest water. Coconut, the cleanest water.
Coconut, yeah.
Yeah, because they only pull up the cleanest. They pull up what they need. Ruffy loves the plastic bin ideas. A lot of the raised beds you buy are plastic. So everything. We're a world of plastic.
The whole hydroponic.
All the farms now.
Farms, that's all plastic.
All plastic. Gwen W. had killed 2 of those arrowhead worms in Georgia. Ooh, I don't know what. You'll have to really look into that. Pam Brower. Let's see, my street neighbor made me a raised bed. He painted the entire inside with acrylic paint. How can I prevent toxicity from the paint into the bed? I wouldn't worry about it. He didn't really need to paint it, but he probably wanted to paint it to try to preserve it. They're not going to pull it out. Most of the paint, it's acrylic, is non-toxic anyways. These days, I grew up where all the paint, when I was a kid, was lead based. All of it. Then they banded it out of red and yellow. So now banded it out of everything but red and yellow. And then later, most of it's non-toxic. I wouldn't worry about it. I got the hummingbird feeder with the solar fountain. Oh, okay, Paula. I'm not sure what that is. Do you see anything? Gary, what type? Okay, you saw the passion fruit. Like I said, I'm way too far up. Okay, now we have silence, Gary. Gosh. Don't cut the hammerheads? Ooh, they regenerate? That sounds
Okay,
scary.
so that's like regular worms.
Yeah, just don't get them in your toast. We don't have them here, I don't think.
No.
When you're growing in containers, especially if they're raised, you have more control over everything and anything that can get in there. Like, I know I can get rid of my squirrels today. There's a squirrel that picks on one tote, and all I have to do is wrap it. I know how to do it. Just wrap it. Don't have to cover it with tulle, because the moment they touch it, they take off. I just haven't bothered. So there's a lot of control when you have container gardening on what you can do. Oh, Anna 125, hello, I watched the video with your family. I was wondering if your mother was ever a comedian. I'll have to tell her that. No, but she would have loved to have been. To this day, she's still telling jokes, and she doesn't feel that good. She had some teeth pulled the other day. My dad was doing pretty bad, and now he's a little better. he went to an MRI. I know a lot of people were asking about that before, and they said he ended up with a pinched nerve. And what do you call that with the disc?
Degenerated.
My daughter knows what to call that because she's got that, I think. She has a disc that's degenerated, and they said at 97, they kind of expect to find that. But he's back up and walking around again. Apparently it hurts off and on, but it turned out, it wasn't anything else. But it's still, it's hard. But he's okay. But I'll have to tell her about that. She will get a kick out of that. She loves jokes. My dad, you said when you took him from MRI, he was joking.
Yeah.
He gets it from my mom. The guy said, "Oh, you went with my brother when he went to get the MRI last week or the week before? Last week. I can't remember." And the tech came out and said, "Oh, we're gonna have to hold back.
We're running behind.
It won't be till 2:30." And my dad says, "What?" He goes, "2:30. I think you need a dentist." And then the guy, "What? I think you need a dentist if their tooth's hurting." 2:30. See, so my dad's witty too. Barbara C, hello. Barbara C, you know what? You made me think of something. What is wonderful right now, everybody I see as their channel name. So I see Barbara C, I see Darlene C, I see people's name, Maria I see. But when they go back and forth, and today they didn't because it's a hit and miss, and they give you your handle name, then I don't know who anybody is. Believe you me, I have complained to YouTube on it, but they basically shut me down and said they're changing. By having your handle name that says user number 343952, if you don't fix that, you won't get your name. Like Barbara, I don't know, I'll have to check on you, but like if you go in there, you can do it on your phone, you can do it on the computer, and you go in there and you'll see a little pencil, and you can hit the pencil and you can edit it, because if you don't pick out your name, they're going to pick it out for you. So this way you can pick out something. Oh, who was the one yesterday? Kelly? No, not Kelly. Oh my gosh. She did great. She put her name, capital, Debbie Keller.
Yeah.
She, capital Debbie, dash, because you can use a dash, and then she put Kelly. And you can see it. So when it comes across, I can see it. But when it says user number and all that, just a heads up on that. Because if you have a name you really like, you may not get it. Because there could have been 500 Barbara C's, and then they just start throwing things out there on that. So check your handles, because you may see your channel name, but whoever you're communicating with may not. I was fine because YouTube came in right away and they gave it to us, but I did capitalize everything. I went back in there and capitalized R for Robbie and A for and then G for Gary. So you can read it, because it's just, they're changing it. Anyways, okay, enough with that. Okay, Judy Hackley, let's see, I put out and cleaned my solar fountain. It is not pumping my water like it did last year. What am I doing wrong? The top of the solar, I cleaned it off. You may have to take the pump apart. I've got videos on that. If you've got real hard water, I actually go in there and pull the little fan.
Yeah, the
little
impeller.
The impeller. I pull that out because it's magnetic and it slides in there, and then get in there with a little knife or something and scrape it, because if hard water builds up in there, it won't spin as fast. And then look at the little impeller, not the plastic, be real careful, you don't want to break the plastic. Look at the magnetic part, and you can do the same thing, scrape that off and then put it back together.
Yeah,
it seems to work really good.
If you use white vinegar, that'll loosen up the
Have you used
minerals.
that?
Yep, that's what I did the other day.
You can sometimes use a little bit on Q-tip hydrogen peroxide, and that will work too. But it's the hard water that sometimes slows it down. Eventually, I've got some that are 3 and 4 years old, are starting to get slow. So, I mean, eventually it can wear out. But I think that's what it may be. It's dirt. And sometimes it's just a little bit of dirt in there. It just has to be cleaned out. Let's see. I have water fountain and brick cleaner now. Oh, Rita, R-I-T-A-H-E. Now they've got cardinals. Oh, and I think you meant the titmouse or twerk mouse.
Titmouse.
Titmouse. Okay, it's spelled correct. Isn't that wonderful? It's Sometimes it puts things in there I don't even know what in the world it is talking about when it does a spell check. Chickadees, woodpeckers, and some I haven't identified. Oh, that is cool. Okay, hammerheads, there's some people are still talking about hammerheads. Thanks for all the great info. Love your videos. What is the smallest size container and grow squash in? Okay, that's Laura, Lora, Roadfeld. I'm actually growing a beautiful zucchini on my deck right now. It's full of zucchini. We ate our first zucchini the other day. It was only that big, but that's okay. And the container is that one. You can pick it up for a minute. I think it's
The wind's starting to blow.
I know the wind is blowing. I don't know if it says on here. No, it doesn't say what size. I'm going to say they're a gallon to gallon and a half. The thing is, you will have to feed it a lot. So you can load the whole bottom with leaves and food matter and then put some soil in there and you should be able to get it to grow. It's not going to get as massive. The bigger the container, the bigger the plant will grow, but you'll still get fruit. So you can go quite small on that. And I'm doing it right now. Paula's nature, love your energy and encouragement. But everybody's got it. My daughter, there's a good example. I used to tell her to garden. I can't. Try to put a garden. You have a beautiful yard. I can't. I can't. She didn't have the interest. Now she's growing everything. As soon as the pandemic hit, she started growing a ton of stuff. She grows everything now. Go ahead. You look like you had something to say. Oh, okay. Gary, thanks for the compost video. You set it up so easy. We'll make it in my next project. That's my next project. Let's see. Nicole just came in. Wild men from Southern Caribbean. Oh, wow. Learned so much from your show. I'm trying full container gardening starting this month. Perfect. I like container gardening. I have full control over it. Please, Gary, do something. I can't read as quick as you.
I'm just trying to pick and choose them.
It's hard. Okay, rats. Mary, Robbie, Gary. What, if anything, do you do about rats? Recently, I found a big old granddaddy rat in my garden. I know there's more. Tool will work for rats. I have a video. It's not a video. It's my Wise Cam was hanging up behind us. And you see the whiskers of the rat. And all of a sudden, the whole thing falls down, the rat and all. You see the rat standing there. And then, oops, take off. Depending on where you live, there's not much you can do. No, you can tool them out. If they find something else, another food source, then they'll leave your food alone. Somebody wrote that they put something, I just had it here, it was way up there, that they put stuff out for the birds so they leave alone their food. I think it was ryegrass. You can kind of figure out what they're going after. Like right now, I think there's a rat in my garden eating some kale. So I don't touch that one. Let him just do what he wants with that one and leave the rest of it alone. I've got a rabbit in the driveway that is eating some Swiss chard. I wanted to replant in it. I'm going to leave it alone because that's the place that rabbit hangs out. Try tool. Tool will generally keep the rats out. Yeah. And if you have a rat that's determined, you can take the tool, depending on your container, you can dip it in vinegar, let it dry a little bit, put it on, and that has really worked too.
Yeah, you can't control what's going on in your neighbour's yard, but in your own yard, you could look for places where they might be living. Depends on how close you are to your neighbours, it may not work. And if you're in the city, they're going to be in the sewers, they're going to be everywhere. So the best thing to do is just do your best, I suppose.
Bipolar's thanking me for the great instructions on the solar fountain. Maria is just out there answering everything good. We could sit back and just relax, let Maria do it all. Let's see, Julie L. Bateson, she's saying hello, good afternoon, hope we're doing well. We are, thank you. Let's see, Barbara C., I checked and changed it. Oh, she changed it, and they accepted it. Good, I want everybody to do that. I think a lot of people don't know. My brother didn't know. I said to him, I didn't even know you came on. What do you mean? And he told me his name. I said, oh, that's not your name anymore. And he goes, yes, it is. He goes, I'm surprised. He's user number. So a lot of people don't know about it. They did send out an email to most people, YouTube, but that email can get lost. So make sure you check your handles, because they even had talked about Mr. Beast, that he did not have that. Mr. Beast was taken, probably paid $1 million for it. He got it. I saw this morning he's got Mr. Beast, because it's kind of like eBay. It's a one thing. You can't have duplicates. They're trying to get rid of duplicates. And this way everybody will have a unique name, whether it's your name you picked or some name that the algorithm picked for you. So anyways, you want to pick your name, and you can change it. You can go back and think, I want to do something else. You can go back and change it. But if there's something you want, like sunset gazing, if you want that name, you better check and make sure you already pulled that handle. So, and if it's not exactly the way you want it, they may say no, then you can tweak it a little bit by something. You can do a dash, or you could do a number, but they give you like a ton of numbers. Go ahead. Paula loves the tool. It's inexpensive. It is. You're going to have it everywhere this year, probably. So Barbara did get it, so that's really good. Anyways, Melinda Zucchini. Oh, Robert Cooney. Hello. He always writes such sweet things.
Yeah, hi, Robert.
Oh, yes, pipe cleaners. Where'd it go? Gwen W. Pipe cleaners are cheap and easy cleaning items. Yes, they are. The other thing is, if you have an old mascara brush, I know you can go to a cosmetic store and buy them, or you could just go to your dollar store and buy the cheapest mascara brush, wash it, and you can use that. I use a mascara brush. You could go into Kohl's. I don't know if they still do this, and they have the test. Who's going to want to test eye makeup? But they used to have the test. You could test the eye makeup you want, and they had all those mascara brushes in a cup. So once you test it or pretend to test it, they want you to throw it away. Don't throw it away. It's going to test makeup on from one person to the other. But anyways, there's mascara brushes work really good. But yes, pipe cleaners work great.
Okay, where do I see that?
Judy, oh, thank you so much. I'll check it again. Love you. And I miss Kitty. Just sweet. I can't even get away from her, not even to take a break, because she's everywhere. And it's hard because it's been, I guess Monday will be 2 weeks, and I'm still in shock. I'm still in, it's hard. I don't even know what else to say, because she was like dominating over everybody.
Claudia A.
Thank you.
Hello from Austria. Do you have slugs? Do we believe in copper wire to deter them? Yes, I believe in the copper. We don't really have a lot of slugs because we're a little drier here. We will if we have wet weather or whatever, and the numbers could build up. But right now it seems to be okay. I haven't seen a lot.
I've seen some in my toes.
But the copper,
just a couple.
The copper messes with their metabolism, and they are deterred from it.
They hide in cardboard. A lot of people, I've done the cardboard garden, and the slugs will get in there because the cardboard holds dampness and it has openings, and they'll get in there a lot. You won't even know you have it until you start to tear apart the box, and you'll find it could be loaded with slugs and different things. We also have skunks. I haven't seen any skunks lately. Skunks are great. They love eating snails and slugs. But I think we have more snails than slugs.
Yeah, we've got more snails than slugs. Because the
snails
carry their cover with them, so they can just sort of pull inside their shell and they can just sort of seal against something. Where a slug needs an area where it's moist all around.
CYNSIM, hello from MS Gulf Coast, MS, Missouri, Mississippi, Missouri, MS. I should know this. I learned this in grammar school. MS.
Yeah, MS is Mississippi.
Mississippi.
MO is Missouri.
Oh, that's right. Somebody else wrote something about, I missed it. Things moved around. Okay. Malane? MELLANE? You know, I'm so bad right now. I'm tired. Go to the baby section and look for different brushes. Then that's true. You can look for that. Hi, no hummingbirds. At Virginia, this is Mark McDowell. We had 4 or 5, but last 2 weeks, nothing. I think they're really moving around differently this year because of the flowers nationwide with all the rain that we had everywhere. So they are moving around differently. Just hang tight. I'm waiting to see what happens in September when we usually end up with all the ones coming back. I don't know if they'll be coming back that soon. I usually have 4,000 of them. So I don't know. I mean, just a few months ago, I had that many. I couldn't even leave the house. I'd fill up all the feeders. I have dozens of feeders out and they would empty them. And then all of a sudden, poof, they were gone when that super bloom hit. Oh, can you please, Darlene C, can you please repost where to get the stapler you use? I bought it off of Walmart and it's called a plier stapler and you'll see it. And I think it was like $16. I actually ended up buying 2 because I use them for everything. And it's a regular paper stapler, but you can use it like a pliers. And that makes it easy. You don't have one. I love mine. You can use it, just a paper stapler. In fact, somehow I ended up with the wrong staples and wouldn't go in there because they were too big. Just a regular paper staple. You can use a regular one, but you can't pinch that. This one is a plier. So look at Walmart or type in plier. Sometimes there's no S on it. So I would call it pliers, but I think they call it plier paper stapler. And if I can find the post, I'll try to repost that. Pennies nowadays are not making me. Oh, pennies. Yeah, we know they're not copper. There's no copper in that, in pennies. And that was also from Elaine.
Melanie.
Melanie. Sorry, Melanie. Rudy bees, skunks will eat out the ground bees. Do we have ground bees? I mean, other people do, but do we have ground bees?
Now, James McDowell says skunks kill a lot of mice too.
They gotta catch them. They do. They're meat eaters. I mean, they eat almost. I had a pet skunk, long time ago. But they eat dog food, cat food, fruits, eggs, chickens.
Yeah. We like having them around. They don't bother. Put it this way: they don't bother anything that they might bother. They can't get to.
I do like them. I think they're cute. You tried to pull one out from under the camper once. You thought it was a dog or a cat.
No, I thought we used to have cats.
You had a cat.
And
Oops.
There was a skunk under the camper, and I thought it was one of our cats.
Exactly.
So I got down, and I was going, "Here, kitty, kitty," and trying to get it to come towards me.
Yeah, that would have been good. They used to come on the deck and tap on the door. That's all I need is them in the house, but they don't do that anymore. Johnny, do you ever visit your local family nurseries? Yeah, I do. I go to different nurseries when I get out. And go different places. Not too many, but I have to do more. There's a lot of places I should go.
Yeah, I guess we go to CPG. That's family owned.
That's true.
That's a big nursery. I believe they've got a growing nursery in San Diego and one in Norwalk. I think it's Norwalk.
That's a nice nursery. Haven't gone. We didn't do that this year.
Yeah, we've done a couple of lives, I guess, at Home Depot because we happened to be there.
Yeah, because we went early in the morning and nobody was there.
Yeah, so we do support.
So they didn't throw me out.
Yeah, we do support smaller nurseries if there's any we go by or.
Yeah, we've done where Nick Federoff goes, Blue Hills.
Yeah.
Okay, he worked there when he was a kid. Nick Federoff's got Things Green.
Yeah.
And he worked there as a kid. So we've gone there. The thing is, I start a lot of seeds myself. I buy a little bit. This year I bought, you'll see the video. I already put it together, but I let Gary put up his video first. I was so excited he had a video ready. And sun golds, I couldn't believe when I went to the nursery. It doesn't matter where you go, whether Home Depot, Lowe's, private nursery. I went to a family-owned one. $5 for one plant. One plant. So I look through and I try to get when there's more than one, but now I'm just doing cuttings and I'm making a whole bunch of the sun golds because I'm not going to spend $50 or $40 on a whole bunch of sun golds. I like sun golds. So, and I also like a lot of the plants that come up as volunteers. A lot of times they grow even better because they want to grow in this climate. So if you have volunteers, try to work with those and see if you can get good ones. The birds are flying all over. You have any more questions?
No, I could.
How's my battery? I don't know.
I could go back up. I know we've missed a lot, but it's kind of a little. It's not that easy to sort of read off my phone.
I don't know what roses of Sharon, sunset gazing. My roses of Sharon trees.
Rose of Sharon.
Rose of Sharon trees finally bloomed, and the hummingbirds love them. Oh, that sounds interesting.
No.
So do the bumblebees.
I know the name because I've heard it somewhere, but I'm not really familiar with what it is. I can't picture what it is right now.
Ritah. I don't know if that would be Rita. Rita. Okay, I have several containers with tomatoes and all have produced. However, one container has very, very pale tomatoes. Instead of turning red, it's going white. Well, you have to remember that every container you set up, just like every bag of compost or soil you buy, is different. So there's something in there, and it could be the plant. Sometimes you get a plant that just won't work good. It could be something that's in there, something that's lacking, that's not in there. It could be the soil. It could be the plant itself isn't doing good. Maybe the plant's got spider mite. Look under the leaves, see if that's in there. I've noticed with spider mite, you tend to get that when the plants are stressed. A lot of insects you get are caused by a plant that's stressed. Make sure it's draining good. Sometimes you think it's draining, but it's not draining good. It could be a lot of different things. What would cause tomatoes to go light?
Yeah, right.
And then what type of tomato is it? I've never seen a tomato go light. But I'm just saying it could be 1,000 things without looking at it.
Yeah, I haven't really grown a lot of tomatoes here. I grew tomatoes back in Australia, but it's 30-something.
I used to pick tomatoes as a kid.
I used to pick tomatoes as a kid for money, for I guess pocket money or whatever.
Maybe that's why you don't want to grow tomatoes in your garden, because you're sick of tomatoes.
Well, in Australia I used to grow large tomatoes, right? Because I was in a climate where, it was very easy to grow them. So it's in an arid part of Australia, and you hit it with water and you have hot nights. The climate's a lot better for larger tomatoes. Here I really didn't start with tomatoes.
But you're growing tomatoes this year.
I'm growing tomatoes this year.
You've got the whole shoebox of tomatoes you're going to have to plant. I planted a ton of tomatoes for him, and they're sitting in a new way now. It is a new way I'm growing the seedlings. It's just that I can forget about them. That's why I like them this way. I can just leave them in there. They've been in there for over a month or longer, and they're already this big, but they're content until he gets to him. And
this year
you can just move them around really good.
This year I'm going to try a few things to get some large tomatoes going. So I've got a new area in my garden that it's kind of in my second part. I would say it's in my second garden where it gets more sun. So it's going to be full sun, where my first garden is sun, shade. So it's a different environment.
Well, that's why this year I'm doing some tomatoes here, but the wall, which you can't see, the long drive wall, I'm going to put tomatoes up there because they like the heat. And then if we don't get a freeze winter like we just had with a lot of freezing days, they'll survive all winter. And I'm going to get them up against the wall because they have full sun. And as long as you don't trim all the leaves off, they're protected. And if they need some shade, I'll just put irrigation tubing, and I can hang a garden flag or an old shirt or something over it if it looks like they're going to scald. But I'm kind of doing more microclimate gardening on a lot of stuff. I want to get more lettuce in the shade. But anyways, that's basically it on tomatoes. But he's going to do more tomatoes because he wants to go into a different variety. I don't know anything
Yeah.
about the variety you picked. I just know the seeds were expensive.
Yeah, I'm trying some dwarf varieties this year.
And what did I buy? I didn't buy the dwarf. I bought the like patio, the minis.
Minis.
Really minis. And it's like, I bought them from a company. It was like, I don't remember, $8 for a package of 6 seeds or something, or 7 seeds. And let me tell you something, they didn't give you an extra. It was exactly counted out. So I'm going to probably put mine, I've got one on the deck, and I'm going to put the other 2 together. And I'm going to net the thing because I want to collect the seeds if I like them.
Yeah. Well, I'm also going to grow Cherokee Purple and
You've got Brandywine that
and Brandywine.
Oh, you've got a whole
because
bunch.
those I'll have those trellising over my arbors, so I can pick them from below.
Okay, because I started more Brandywine off of the one I'm growing on the deck, which already has some little tomatoes on it, and then you've got Cherokee Purples. Was that the only big one?
Yeah.
And then you've got Brads, but they're not big. I'm not gonna overdo the Brads because I tried them about 4 years ago, multiple plants, and none of them grew that good. They grew a few tomatoes on them, but it wasn't full like some other types of tomatoes. But you're gonna grab some.
I know a few people have commented on my video this morning, but Paula's right down the bottom. Thanks, Paula.
Yeah, Melinda Roth, you're so funny, Robbie. Have you 2 ever covered what?
Electroculture.
Cover wire coil for what?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't have an opinion because I haven't seen it. But there's certain things that seem to become popular, and when one person puts up a video, everyone else seems to follow. So I don't know if there's anything there or if it's just a fad to get people to watch. What do you call it? There's a term for it.
Clickbait.
Clickbait.
Have you 2 ever covered electroculture? Copper wire coiled onto the soil. All of a sudden, I can't come onto YouTube or Facebook without seeing a post about it. What are your thoughts?
Yeah,
you know what happens with a lot of stuff? Oh, you want to?
No, go on.
It becomes the flavor of the month. And this goes into anything you have ever been involved with. I don't care if it's dogs, birds, gardening. You'll end up with something, all of a sudden, they'll tell you, this is what it is. And it's like, it becomes a fad. And then it just disappears because it wasn't true in the beginning. So whether this works or whatever this is, I don't believe everything you hear is what it is. Do your own research on it. Don't believe everything you hear just because it might be clickbait or it might be something they want attention. And so you have to really kind of be wary of things. You say hello? I don't know them. I don't know them.
Yeah.
You didn't say hello, so let's see, moment
Hi.
here. Oh, hello.
I know this year it seems to be, there's a lot of videos come out on no dig gardening, and I guess Charles Dowding was doing that in the 70s in Britain, and it's kind of creeped in. People have tried it, and it does have its positive things. I've been doing that for a number of years, I guess 7 or 8 years, and my issue was I wasn't paying attention to what was going on underground, and I got all these invasive roots into my garden, and I didn't see it because I wasn't digging. So if you're going to do no dig gardening, still keep an eye on what's going below ground, because the first couple of years when you plant a garden, everything might go really well, and then all of a sudden things start dropping off. Production drops off, and you can't figure out what's going on. You're watering and you're adding compost, you're trying to build the soil up, and then one day you'll stick your shovel down and you'll find roots. And the roots could be on your property, trees on your property, or they could be a neighbour's trees. But if you do no dig gardening, still keep an eye on what's going on underground. So I believe that it's a useful tool, but like all tools, if you don't continue to pay attention to things, they may lead you down a road that, things aren't working out.
Yeah, there's been a few people that have come to me and said that they had a beautiful garden and all of a sudden their garden died. And I asked them, did you check for roots? And they go, what? And then they go into the garden, just a beautiful garden, and they find out that their whole beautiful flower bed has gotten invaded with roots from either pepper trees or pine trees or trees like that, and they didn't know. I think the thing that I was surprised about this morning when Kohler had his thing on is the living soil. Suddenly that's brand new, fairly new. And when I started doing that 6, 7, 8 years ago, well, it's been a long time, but I think on YouTube when I first started, I wasn't even doing a channel. I would just walk out in the garden. Hello. People used to tell me, you can't do that. Oh no, you can't grow in that. And it's like, but if you buy a bag of soil, and that gets blocked out a lot, they don't like that. If you buy a bag of soil and you dump it on the ground, let me tell you something, it'd be the best soil. You may be able to grow in it for a while, but you won't get earthworms, you won't get anything come to it because it's already broke down. It's not alive. And you look around, I've always observed nature, because to me nature is what works. And in my past life, here I used to always go with nature, and people used to think I was crazy, and it's like, what? And I don't want to get into all that, but I always worked with nature. And when you look, nature is growing in living soil. That's why you can go under a tree and push it or lift up a rock and find earthworms, because it's alive. And suddenly they're discovering living soil. I knew that when I was coming out and dumping my kitchen scraps 8 years ago, and things were growing. My tomatoes were growing, peppers were growing, squash was growing, everything was growing, and there was no soil because it was creating its own compost. So it's just interesting how things are new, and I think now is living soil is the new one. No? It's just starting.
Yeah, it's just starting.
Just starting, they're talking about it. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with bag soil. I still buy bag soil. I like to put it on the top, especially if I'm buying plants or starting seeds. I'll put a little bit on the top because it's just the plants sometimes, I don't know. You don't. See, I guess it's force of habit. I put that on there. But underneath, it's all that matter I put in there, whether it's weeds, leaves, whatever, toilet paper rolls, everything. And then I just put a little bit of soil that's maybe native, and then I put some potting soil on top just a little bit. And sometimes I don't. So it's hard to break old habits. But I like having things that are alive. And so you can take bag soil and turn it alive really easy by shoving in some collard leaves. And suddenly everything comes to it. The microbes come to it, earthworms come to it, and it works. Plants grow. And then you don't have to feed it. You use plant food? I don't use any plant food. You don't use plant food?
No, just what I make myself.
The compost tea?
Compost, yeah.
So, I haven't looked to see what else there is.
Okay, Little Dandelion says, electroculture is an ancient agricultural practice. Anything that means you're giving an extra input, it's not something that I do, but I will look into it to see what it's all about, just so I know what it's about, just to educate myself on it. So to just sort of say, well, I agree or disagree with it, I can't say that because I don't know anything about it, but it's interesting that there is something else that I'll look up.
He looks up everything. Kelly, you asked about gnats. I don't worry about gnats. They're not eating your plants. The gnats create tiny, I'll use the word maggots. And what they're doing is they're breaking down the food that you've got in there, or leaves, because they're part of everything like earthworms and microbes. And if you've got it out in the open and the gnats can get to it and lay their eggs in there, and if you've got hummingbirds, you'll see the hummingbirds hover around it because they'll eat the gnats. They're not necessarily going to go inside and pick up something unless they see it. I've seen them do that. I don't worry about gnats. Believe it or not, with everything set up, I don't have any ants, but sometimes I do, and I don't worry about the ants as long as the ants are going in and going out. I only worry about ants is when I see them get into something and they're not going out. In other words, they've decided to set up home. Then I have to get rid of them because I don't want the ants to live there because not because they're going to kill the plant per se, but they create, as you see an ant farm, that tunnel system, and they direct the water away from the plants, and then that's why the plants will die. So at that point, I get rid of the ants. And I've got different methods, and I've got a video on how I get rid of the ants. But I haven't, so far, no ants as far as a problem. Once in a while, I see them go in there, and they're hunting. And if you have a bigger problem, let's say with gnats, you don't want them, put some potting soil on the top. That will get rid of the gnats and should get rid of the ants too, because the ants don't really want to dig into the soil unless they're going to live there. So there's ways of getting rid of them too. But I don't worry about them. They're all part of nature. And they're not hurting my plants. Your turn.
Okay. Now, I just gave some thought on electroculture.
He's thinking. He's thinking.
I know plants take up nutrients in a couple of ways, and one way is the nutrients have to be electrically charged correctly for the plant to take it up. There's a couple of other ways that I'm trying to think. There's passive ways where plants will take up nutrients. So basically minerals have to be small enough to go through the minerals have to be small enough to pass through the cell membrane of plants, and they have to have the correct electrical charge for that to occur. So electroculture, that it's got me curious, because I'll have to look into that, because some of that may make a little bit of sense. If I look and see what they're actually doing, I may understand it more.
Yearning for country living. See, I'm no professional, but I think gnats will eat little plants. Do you have any clay or vermiculite? I mean, if they're eating your plants, I've never had them eat my plants. And then generally, if you've got living soil with plant matter in there, they'll eat that. Just like the roly-polies will eat that. Now, if your plants are just coming up and they think it's part of it, they might. Earthworms won't, but they might. But I haven't had that problem. So if you want to get rid of them, it depends on what your gnats are doing, but I don't have a problem with them. And every tote, every container's got living matter in it that I put in there. It's because the plants grow so good. So you have to figure out what's going on with yours if you think that's it. Oh, let's see, A. Taylor. That's how I grow. Just looking at how things grow in the wild. And that's A. Taylor. That's what I do. Look around and see, what's going on. And you'll know. I mean, we have nasturtiums growing all under the trees. There's just leaves there. And then nasturtiums are growing in the leaves. So you kind of analyze and think. Look at nature. Nature's a real good way. Paul Gauci grows a lot by nature. He always says he takes a walk.
Yeah.
Remember? And look around at nature. And nature will tell you how to do a lot of stuff.
Sunset gazing. Oh boy, I opened up a can of worms, but we'll look more into it also. Now, you didn't open up a can of worms, I wouldn't say put it that way. You don't know what you don't know. So if you're not aware of something, then you cannot ever learn about something, if that makes any sense.
Yearning for country living. Are you kidding me? Your fingernails are never dirty. Yes, they are. You know what I say? But you know what I use? I love kitchen gloves. Even when they pop, I still use them until I can't use them anymore. And see how dirty that is? To me, it's just more comfortable to get in there and pull everything out, but don't kid yourself.
Yeah.
They're dirty.
Yeah. Johnny Maserati used to give me a hard time about how dirty my nails were.
I know you're in there scrubbing and cleaning, and I was like, what are you doing? Johnny's going to come in and tell me my hands are dirty.
And they used to be...
Johnny has a lot of comments. We know about
I used to work on printers. And sometimes I'd wear gloves, but sometimes when I had something finicky to do, I would take the gloves off and I'd get covered in printing ink. And that is something that you really can't wash off. You just have to wear it off. So back in the day, I had my hands covered in printer ink all the time too.
I used to have ink all over too, working on printers. Not as much as you though, because you were always refilling everything for me. But yeah, you can't get that stuff off. Let's see. Any tips on growing in the desert area? Cameron? Mitchell. Yeah. I mean, I would, if you're it depends again how you want to grow. And the ground is going to be tough because it's going to dry out really quick. And vegetable plants need a lot of moisture. If you're going to do container gardening, I always put my holes up. I don't have anything really. But if this was a container, I don't, well, there's nothing there. I put my holes up. I don't put it all the way on the bottom. This way it retains a little bit of water. The other thing too is look at the look at the irrigation tubing that I'm using now, the 1/2 inch. If you can take a tote or a bunch of totes, you can put a whole bunch of them together, string the irrigation, it's hard to explain. Put the irrigation tubing all over it. Like you'd have to really go back and look at the video. You will create a sunshade, sunshade, sunshade all day. And then your plants won't get burned because it's going to move with the sun. And I think you might be able to get some plants. Now, if you're talking about a big field, I don't know. But if you're talking about some plants, but like yours, you know, you've got sunshade all day.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how hot it is because of the roof, the way that is, the ceiling, the top, whatever you call it. It's always got sunshade. So that's what I'm doing with the irrigation tubing. I'm kind of creating a little bit of sunshade. You can always put something on there to create more shade too. But just keep in mind, a lot of it is water, not just the heat. And if you don't have enough water for the plants, that's when they burn. And don't hose them off on like 100-degree day, because what you're literally doing is cooking the plants at that point because you wet the leaf, the sun hits it, it cooks. Just like you put spinach or Swiss chard in a pot with a little bit of water, it's not going to make a comeback. But if you let it droop and only water the base if you have to, just the trunk around the base, lay your hose down there, then you'll see when the sun goes down, the plants will pop up. But you'll have to work with it. It depends on how you're going to grow, whether it's container gardening or in the ground. You have something to say on that?
Just
Because we get hot too.
yeah, we get days,
Weeks.
weeks. We don't get as hot as the desert, but we do get days when it possibly shocks the plants more here, because if you've got a steady climate or a steady environment, and then all of a sudden it gets hit with a lot of sun or harsh sun, high temperatures, that's when the plants tend to have a bit of an issue.
It also depends on the plants too. You're going to plant lettuce.
Yeah.
You don't want to put lettuce or something like that. Even your chards and your kale isn't thrilled about hot days. They love it when it's cold. So it will depend on what you're growing. But I've noticed with the squash, we had like 2 weeks of 100 once last year, I think. And they droop. During the day, they look terrible. You don't touch them. And then at night, they'd all pop back up. And then the other thing is, if you're growing squash, trim the leaves off that they don't need underneath. Because remember, the plant's got to pull up for everything on there. If it's got 100 leaves, it's trying to take care of 100 leaves. But if you don't need the leaves on the squash plant, definitely no fruit near it, it's not feeding any fruit, you get those off, then maybe it's taking care of 50 leaves and it's easier on the plant in the hot weather. So there's a lot of little tips and tricks you might be able to do. Baby birds everywhere. Darlene, I get mine at Dollar Tree too. So my gloves. Darlene says I get my kitchen gloves at Dollar Tree. I get wherever I am at, who's ever got the cheapest, I get the kitchen gloves. Ye Vita, a natural garden will have aphids. I saw a sign. If your garden has no insects, you're not doing it right or something, or it's not, Gardener's World in the UK, they're really promoting wildlife now of all kinds in there, even snails. They feel that a real garden has life in it. Of course, we don't want a ton of them, but a little bit.
Because the snails provide food for the hedgehogs. So you create an ecosystem. And let's see.
Rocio, thank you. She. How do you know the correct amount of water for seed in the ground? For seeds in the ground for zucchini. I don't worry about the correct. I just want to make sure that if the soil is dry at night for my zucchini, I will water them at night. And I don't wet the leaves if I can help it, though I do sometimes, not purposely. You don't want zucchini to dry out. Zucchini needs well-drained soil, but it wants to have water around it somewhere. That's why in containers, I do fantastic with zucchini. You've seen some of them in containers because I keep the holes about 1 inch to 2 inches from the bottom so they can get their roots all the way down there, because you may not see it, but it can't dry out in a plastic container because there's no way it can evaporate. It can only go out through the holes and come back up. If you have a grow bag that's fabric, or it's really a plastic fabric, it can dry all the way around, and I don't have luck here with zucchini in a grow bag. But in a plastic container, whether it's a trough, I don't know what you call those plastic ones. It's like a plastic trough. They use it for horses. We got them in Walmart. Those are big, like the blue one out there.
The round ones.
The round ones, whether it's a round one, a bucket, or a plastic tote, because it can only evaporate up, you have more control of the water. So there is, does nature have a set amount of water? One day it rains, one day it doesn't. There's no set amount of water. Just make sure the plant has water when it's dry, and don't let it dry out completely. And try not to wet the leaves too much if you can on zucchini, and you should be good to go. Were you talking about seeds? As far as, because you said something about seeds. Now I lost it. If you're talking about seedlings, I don't think you're talking about seedlings. You just have to make sure that seedling is watered until it creates a good root system. Just keep an eye on it. Somebody, SMP biker, I use a broken umbrella, handle fell off to shade new plants. Very good. Don't need to respond in this video, but I posted a comment yesterday. Heidi, for the solar fountain from 4 weeks ago. Just curious on your thoughts if a 4-inch Christmas ornament would work on top. Heidi, you didn't see my video where I did make a 4-inch ball and use that for a ball? Yes, you can use it. I have made that at Christmas time. I'm really bad at finding videos, so I can't give it to you right now. But I did use an ornament. I picked it up at Dollar Tree, and the hummingbirds loved it because it was rough and they could hold on to it. As long as it's rough, and their nails are, think how tiny their feet are, and their nails, they can grip onto anything. They can't grip on the glass. You saw, probably some of you saw that video I put up years ago where a poor hummingbird was coming to the frog, and he was trying to take a bath, and it was slick, and he was just slipping. Well, now I used the glue gun. I can't believe it's still holding, but I sanded it with a little bit of sandpaper, and I put glue all the way around it from a glue gun, and now they can come on and they can grip. So yes, you can use a Christmas ornament, and I did do a video on that. Oh, John Ray Patterson is here.
Yep.
It is beautiful today. It's a surprise. I really shouldn't be here. I should be doing, I have a project I want to do. I want to make a bee house, and I've been waiting for a nice sunny day because I've got 500 feet. I don't need that much, but I need to throw my 1/2-inch irrigation tubing in the sun, and this way it's easy to cut through. And I was going to go plant some seeds, and I'm going to go set up those seedlings out of the kitchen into your room. And I need to finish the tote back here, but it is a beautiful day today because it's been cloudy and cold all week. I didn't even know it was going to be this nice today. Did you? I didn't know.
No, I wasn't sure. Yesterday it was overcast all day.
All day. I think the video did I have a video yesterday? I'm really bad. I've got like 3 videos I made in one day to put up. I did one yesterday, and it's really hazy. I think that was the one because it was so overcast yesterday. Do you have, this is Red, BRRDZ, do you have?
Redbirds.
Oh, that's redbirds?
Yeah.
Or had banana trees? Oh, he wants to know if you have banana trees.
Yeah, I've got bananas in my garden. They're in the back. I want to start moving them to a better location. But yeah, I've got, let's see, several varieties of bananas. And I've got a new one now.
The one Deborah gave you?
Yeah, and I can't remember the name of it.
Deborah would know, but she's not here.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's got a lot of bananas. They got really hit hard this winter, though.
Yeah.
And yet the Orioles still built a nest. They're out there with
Yeah.
the nest.
Right now
My daughter's got a nest
I've got
too.
a hooded oriole nest in one of my bananas. My bananas got knocked down, so right now they're really short. So I've got an hooded oriole nest, and it must be 6 foot off the ground. Usually they'll nest a bit higher, but they like my bananas because, well, getting into birds, they like a leaf that's similar to a palm leaf. And bananas, they really like the bananas because they make a woven nest, like a basket, and the bananas protect them from above, and they can weave their nest underneath the leaves. And when it gets hot, the leaves sort of curl in a bit, so it's like a real nice shade and rain shelter for them. So I've got quite a few different bananas. I can't think of all the varieties right now.
I know you got gold.
I've got Goldfinger, I've got Plantain.
Cavendish?
I've got the Cavendish. I've got is a double Malloy.
It does two
It
spurs like
it has 2 sets of fruit on the one plant. Mahoy. I think it's Mahoy. It's a Hawaiian name for twins. What else? Yeah, I've got a few different varieties. I've got trying to translate the apple variety. I've got one that's got a flavour similar to, it's got an apple-like flavour.
You have a Goldfinger.
I've got a Goldfinger.
Did I say that?
Yeah, I've got 2 Goldfingers.
You got a plantain down there too, don't you? Or
Yeah,
no?
my plantain, it's starting to come back, but it gets hit by the heat and the cold. Plus, the ground I've got them in is too shallow. It's only probably about a foot of soil underneath them, and they need deeper soil. So I'll start taking the pups and I'll move them out to
In the new place?
In the new place.
In the new place, which we have to figure out. I call it Vivian's Garden. You're going to plant it at Vivian's Garden?
In that area. We've found an area where it stays warm. It's a different microclimate. We just need to get water down there before I start moving plants down there.
Well, I've got a little bit down there. I haven't really gone down there in the past week. I put a few plants down there in a fallen tree. I talked about it. But it was a real surprise because I left the chair garden and I walked down. I was freezing. I was so cold. Of course, I get cold easy. But I walked down there and all of a sudden it's like, oh, this is too warm down here. And I'm down there moving stuff around. I realized it must have been 10 plus degrees warmer than it was in my chair garden on the other side of the yard here. So that's when I decided I'm going to build a new garden. I don't know what to call it. I don't know. I'm thinking of calling it Vivian's Garden because it's up against my neighbor's and maybe she'll water it. She does. I've actually saw her go down there and water it. So we'll see. But I've got mint in there right now. I've got some sunflowers I put down there. I haven't been down there. Everything look okay?
Yeah.
Because I've been slow. I've been really slow. And you said everything was okay because I've got mint. I want to get some tomatoes and peppers down there. And then you figured out, boy, I want to grow papayas down there because one side has got full sun and one side's got sun and shade. And then the other side is almost full shade. And I'm thinking I can do, I don't know if I'm going to do lettuce there, but you can do a lot of different things. Turmeric and ginger I want to do down there. So you said everything's okay.
Yep.
All right, well, we'll see. I think it's tomatoes, right? Bob in Missouri, can someone tell me if you can plant tomatoes by potatoes?
If possible, I wouldn't, unless you're going to feed them heavily.
Okay, because they both pull. Yeah, I can't answer that because I've got potatoes growing in dish pans. I've got potatoes right now growing in buckets. We haven't even done a video on potatoes. You did one a while ago, but he's been pulling out a lot of potatoes out of the garden. And they're so good. They're small. He brought in like 100 of them. And you washed them and they were so good. Kitty was going crazy about him when you brought him up. You just boil them up and you don't peel them, you just clean them. And they were really good. Really, really good. So, but you don't grow tomatoes.
No, I don't. So it's been a long in Australia, I grew a lot of potatoes and tomatoes, but I had long beds and I didn't really put them all together at the time.
Well, if you don't have a choice, anytime you want to grow something, and if you want to grow something really bad and your bed is a certain size and you don't have a choice, I would say try it and then feed them heavy, whether you're buying food or whether you're going to compost in place.
Yeah.
And use the 2 system. That works really
Okay.
good.
John Ray said he hasn't had any issues with potatoes and tomatoes being
Okay, there you
close,
go.
and he's in Tennessee. So, depending on what part of let's see, Missouri you're in, I don't know if the climate's going to be similar. It may be totally different. I haven't been in that part of the country, so I don't know.
Melinda Roth is saying, I've heard don't plant potatoes near garden. Okay, I don't know. We've got them different places. So everybody's garden is different. I've got potatoes growing different places. You know, if you plant, the only problem with planting potatoes in your garden is you have to dig them up. And if you got flowers and other stuff there, then you got to dig everything up to go find your potatoes. That would be...
Okay. Kelly Fitzgerald said, let's see, it's because of a blight issue. So because they're related, they'll share the same diseases.
That was interesting on the blight, because the ones you're buying that are blight-free or the disease-free are treated. Remember?
Yeah.
So treated versus untreated. So I don't know. I'm doing mine right now in dish pans. I've got in dish pans back there. I've got a bucket there, and I've got a 3-gallon bucket. Yes, 2-gallon bucket and a 5-gallon bucket, and they do fine. Maybe I would grow more if it was bigger. I don't want to do them in totes because that means I have to dig in there, and I don't want to dig in there, but you could. There's nothing wrong with that. 5-gallon bucket, I can take it and dump it in my wheelbarrow and go through it and get it out. It's just easier for me. I'm going to do things that are easy. Donna Rich, I don't know, Google companion garden.
Okay.
She might be answering somebody.
Beverly Shaw, she has ice cream bananas in Cavendish.
Is that what you have, ice cream?
No, Deborah's got ice cream
Deborah's
bananas.
got it?
When I was looking into bananas, I thought about getting ice cream, but Cavendish is more of a cool banana, more of a cooler weather banana. Some varieties are more tropical and some go better with the cooler climate. Cavendish, I'm not sure where you live, what area you live in, but Cavendish will do okay in Southern California, I know that. Ice cream bananas, if you've got more of a sheltered place, they do grow them here. Ice cream bananas get really tall. Cavendish get sort of low enough that I can harvest the fruit very easily, and I just harvest a few at a time. But why they haven't fruited, maybe I would add a bit of a nitrogen fertilizer to them, and then add a bit of potash or potassium. That will help with the fruit, but to help them grow, they are hungry feeders, put it this way. So I would maybe fertilizer might sort of help.
What about what you do? You load the dickens with leaves on top.
Yeah.
And just let it naturally rot and break down on top.
Yeah,
and that's nature's way.
Yeah,
like avocado trees.
I grow mine in a cluster, in what some people refer to as a banana circle, and I just load the center up with a lot of compost and allow that to break down. Plus, where I've got them growing, I've got a layer of wood chips. So the wood chips help with the potassium, and the leafy greens that I throw in the center, that helps with the nitrogen. So that's how I feed my bananas. A lot of compost.
Which is leaves.
Which is leaves.
So
yeah, composting in place.
Yeah, just pile it on around your plants, and they absolutely love it. Okay, so Julie Simmons, she puts basil and marigolds in with the tomatoes. That's perfect. Okay, so issues with potatoes. Okay. Oh, the pitchers, Pat. There's a ton of holes, and yes, I do water it. Anything that you want to be to be alive, you want to water it. It needs water, not underwater. Just like you were doing a tote. I don't water it every day if there's a top on top, but sometimes I open it up and put a little water in there, and there's holes everywhere, holes on the bottom, holes on the side, and you want the water to flow through, and the holes are there because the earthworms go back and forth. And when it looks like, if you look in there and it looks like it's all turned into compost, take it out, use that, put the pitcher back in there, more leaves, throw a handful of soil in there, and put the top back. But yes, keep it watered, just like you would your tote, your container, or your ground. That keeps it alive, because that pitcher is alive.
Okay. Sim. My sweet potatoes, we don't get a freeze. This year we got a freeze. My sweet potatoes are perennial here, and this is the first year really that they died back. A lot of them died back, but they're still, some died, some stayed alive, some died back. The ones normally on a normal year, they take off and they grow over my ponds and you can't see my kiddie pools. When the weather cools down, the parts that are growing over the kiddie pools die back, and then I've got them around my kiddie pools. This year I'm going to start more from scratch, so I've got a lot of slips that I've got going.
Oh my. Maybe.
And they do grow back on their own. So every year they do grow back on their own, but I want to increase production and move them around a bit more, so I'm going to pull slips from the ones that are starting to grow back on their own. Plus I've got some slips in my back room that I've started, and I want to get those planted.
And then you've got that sweet potato we bought at the store back in September.
Yeah.
Back in September, I bought a bag of sweet potatoes. They were so cheap, and they tasted good. I decided to try to grow some. This is what, September. I have planted it. I have put it in water, and it's still sitting on the counter, and they look as good as the day that we bought it. The microbes don't want it. The earthworms don't want it, and it's still ready to cook. Isn't that scary? You know which one I'm talking about. There's a couple of them. I had them in the windowsill, and they look, you would think it's a wax fruit. Boy, I wonder what they treated that with. I don't even want to think about it.
Yeah.
I couldn't understand how they brought him in so early before Thanksgiving. And I bought a couple because they looked interesting and they were cheap and they tasted good. And then when I went to try, I had left over to grow them or do anything with them, they're like not real. I'll have to show you guys that. That's scary. That's the food we eat and nothing wants it. So I don't know what our gut wants on that. Let's see, I'm so far behind on the garden. Oh, so am I. I really am. I'm so slow now. I was going and now I'm slow too. I'll get done what I get done. I can't think of his name. He was on Gardener's World last night. Is it Logan? Oh my gosh, what an adorable kid on Gardener's World.
Yeah, I think it was Logan.
If you can find that on YouTube, Gardener's World. That little kid was amazing. He's going through stress because of what happened the past few years. And he talked about gardening, a little kid. And he was so smart. You would think he was like 20 years older than what he is. And 30 years older. And he was saying, it didn't matter what your garden looks like. It's your garden. You take it at your pace. And as long as you love it, it doesn't matter. Oh my gosh, he was amazing. And he's right. I'm taking it at my pace right now. And I'm picking up. It's just like a lot of you saw that I wasn't putting up any videos worth anything. And then I started getting back into it. Like I said, I did 3 yesterday. I think I did 3. And I was planning on putting one up today. And I was so happy. I was so happy to be said, I'm done. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy. He goes, I'm going to put it up in the morning. I said, well, YouTube always says it's good to put it up at 3. I don't know. He's got their eye. And he goes, I'm putting up in the morning. You put it up when you want. I don't care. That is good. So happy you had it done.
So someone mentioned earlier that we've got a lot of, I can't go back.
Okay.
A lot of produce. We don't can, but we do freeze a lot.
I freeze. In fact, we have 2 freezers because my big freezer broke.
Yeah.
That freezer is, oh my gosh, 45 years old, I would say, over 40 years old, and it broke. So Gary went and cleaned everything out of it. I went and ordered a brand new freezer. This was during the pandemic. And I called Best Buy and said, I have it in my cart. How do I do this? It was an upright. I like an upright. And the girl said, oh, we're out of freezers. Everybody's buying freezers. I said, you can't be out of freezers. It's in my cart. And she said, no, there's no freezers in your area. So she said, what's your account? And I told her, she said, oh my gosh, there must be one sitting somewhere. It is in your cart. Do you want it? And I said, yes. It was a good price too. And they even had it on sale. So immediately I paid for it and the freezer got delivered. And after he cleaned out the freezer to get rid of the big one, we plugged it back in. It works perfect. So now I have this big freezer I bought at Sears 45 years ago that is going strong. And I freeze a lot. We freeze a lot. So yes, we don't can, but we do freeze. And then I also give away, I want to get my parents some zucchini because they love zucchini. I've given to my neighbors around here. Don't have to give to my daughter because she's now growing buku, bunches of everything now. She grows everything. She tries all these different things. So we do give away and we freeze. And then whatever doesn't grow good gets composted back and turns into our soil too. Give our neighbors that way that tell me, you can't grow here. As I bring him zucchini this big. Oh, where'd you grow that? Here. And he's like right across the street. You can't grow here. So we disperse it everywhere.
Yep.
Go ahead, Jim. Go for it, Gary.
Let's see. John Ray mentioned that the plane reminds him of Beauvais villagers. Villagers.
Which one? What reminds him?
John Ray, the plane that was flying over earlier.
Oh. Yeah, Hervé was a friend of mine. I think I've told that story. You probably saw the video.
That's what he
that's what he's
mentioned.
yeah. He was a good friend. And I miss that guy. So he had a tough life. Though he had a good life, he had a tough life. So you talked to him on the phone. We talked to him and his wife before he died.
Yeah.
He was going to go on Mr. Pete. That was, remember?
Yeah, that
Mr.
was a long time ago.
That was a long time ago. We talked about that, and he didn't go on that show. The tree behind me, AG, Angela, that's a fig tree. Should not be there. I planted it from seed, and it could break the house apart if we don't at some point do something, but I planted it. That's a fig tree. I prefer to do cuttings on fig trees, which is super easy to do because you get the right fig. When you plant from seed, you don't know what you're going to get, and it could revert back to something that's not edible. We had a couple of those that you had to take out. So my daughter's got a big fig tree she got from me. I know exactly where I got it from. I know exactly what tree, and so she has really good figs. We have a strawberry fig. There's a video I did before Kitty passed. I never put it up. I don't even know where it is. On my strawberry fig. And I've got to do cuttings off of that. Went back there, did a video 5 years ago on it, and just never went back. Tree's still there. It fell down. You were going to take it out because it fell down. I said, don't touch that tree. So now it's laying sideways.
Yeah, now it's laying sideways.
But the figs on that, the birds sit and wait for that. It tastes like strawberries. So that is a fig tree back there. No, you pick it up, answer questions. I don't know. There's a Rural King. They've got seeds on sale for $1. Darlene said. Oh, John loved him. He was a good actor. Oh my God, he wasn't just a good actor. He had Hervé had a really kind heart, and I had a bunch of kids come over for. It was a kind of a lecture thing. And when the kids came over to my house, it was all on animals. I called Hervé afterwards because he didn't live that far from me. And I said to him, I've got about, I don't remember, 50 kids here, 40 kids here, and they're fascinated with animals. We just went through everything. It was fantastic. It was a special needs school too. It was one my uncle worked at, I think. And I said, we've got time. Do you want us to come over? Bring the kids, bring the kids. So I said, okay. So I talked to the teachers. They were there. And I said, Hervé said, pile kids in the bus when they're ready and just drive down to his house. And he showed him the animals. He had horses. He used to ride. He wasn't supposed to. While he was doing Fantasy Island, he had a contract saying he can't ride in case it gets thrown and you don't have an actor to finish. But he did have a big heart. Really, really big heart. Went to a Christmas party of his, and he scared me the first time he came over to my house. I didn't. I met him through somebody else. He kind of barged in. His little size, and he still scared me. But he was really a nice guy. Let's see. Can I plant lavender with my tomato? Rachel, Heart. Why wouldn't you be able to plant lavender? Gets really big. Oh, lavender needs really good drained soil. Oh, I can't even keep lavender alive here. You're asking the wrong person. I've planted lavender twice, and twice I've lost it. Then I used to lose my time, which is behind me here, and now I've got all the time I want. So maybe somebody else can answer that.
I tried growing lavender and I bought it between my two gardens. I can't get it to grow
I didn't know that. You bought lavender.
Yeah,
That's right, you
so
did.
I have to figure out that obviously it needs better conditions, soil conditions than what I've got down there.
Somewhere I had heard it needs really good drainage, so I thought, well, put it in a pot so it drains really good. It still died. So I don't know. And yet you can drive by somebody's house and their whole front yard could be lavender, so go figure it out. Something they don't like here, or I'm doing wrong, or I'm buying the wrong lavender. G. Unli. Want to do a chair garden. What do you think about growing in wicking containers? Can I put organic matter like kitchen scraps in the soil in them? I don't know about wicking beds with soil. You do more wicking beds. If you can put a lot of kitchen scraps, because now you're talking water.
Yeah, it depends on what you're growing. Carrots, I've tried carrots in wicking beds, and the carrots take up with soil in a wicking bed, it does go anaerobic.
Not the kitchen. You can't do carrots and kitchen scraps.
The carrots in the soil took on the flavour of the anaerobic. It didn't work for them. They tasted awful. Potatoes I've done in wicking beds when I couldn't water them during the summer. So I had them sitting in the kiddie pools in wicking beds while I was growing them, and when they got closer and closer to harvest, then I removed the buckets and sat them and allowed them to dry and treated them like a normal potato in a bucket system. But I don't know if I would add food scraps to a wicking bed, because a wicking bed, depending on how you're growing it, it's going to, if you put organic matter in it, it's going to get anaerobic, and it may not work out well.
It depends on how much water. See,
Yeah.
I don't do wicking beds because to me, unless it's a bog, it's not natural. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but then I'd have to think all different how I'd want to set it up. So I kind of go more what's natural. That's not saying that leaving an inch or 2 inches of water on the bottom of your tote is natural, but in a way, the deeper you dig, the more you will find water. But as far as a wicking bed, that's like sitting your vegetables in a constant muck. And if you're not going to have earthworms or microbes in there, then I don't know. So you'll have to look that one up somewhere else, because I don't want to really give the wrong answer on that. I haven't done Mexican sunflower. Let's see, is there anything else new with New Zealand? See, lavender grows well at the beach. It's a well-drained sand, and that could be.
Yeah.
Our soil is clay. I might have had it too boggy, and then simply adding sand in there probably would have done it. And that sounds more like what I've heard on Gardener's World.
I don't know how so when you say I know how to say crochet, but I don't know how to say crocheting.
Crocheting around New
New
Zealand.
Zealand.
Oh, I found something I
Okay,
can say.
she grew kumara in a big container, and that. Okay, I know kumara is the the New Zealand word for sweet potatoes, and she says I'm also growing yams. I'm curious as to what sort of yams, because yam is kind of a term for a lot of plants that are the tubers are underground. Because I grow ubes or purple yams.
You have an answer to that?
No, I
Okay,
just
little
that's more of a
dandelion. Have you
question.
grown tomato and cucumbers in the same container? Did it do okay? Someone grew them side by side in the ground. Cucumbers were all sour. Comments were saying don't grow them next to tomatoes. Yes, I have grown cucumbers and tomatoes together in the same container. Just let's say one cucumber and one tomato. I haven't had any problems. Cucumbers can go bitter. I wouldn't even call them sour. They can go nickel tasting, and sometimes that's inconsistent watering. It might have dried out, did not get enough water.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't know. I personally haven't had any problems, and I actually had cucumbers growing here last year in this tote with tomatoes, and they were beautiful. You don't want to leave them on too long, but they were beautiful. So I'm going to say I do it, and I probably will do it this year. But you don't want to overcrowd. As soon as you start overcrowding, then you end up with vegetables that aren't right. So I wouldn't do more than one cucumber and one tomato, and make sure you're feeding it heavily with organic matter. Go ahead.
Okay. Now I know exactly what crocheting around New Zealand's talking about. In Australia, they call them New Zealand yams. They also call them oca in Australia.
Okay.
But here they call them oca, and they're a South American. I think they're from Peru. They're a South American tuber. They're a South American tuber. So I know exactly what you're talking about. I haven't grown them. I'd like to get them one day, but I haven't grown them so far.
Is it because you haven't found them, or you just
Because
haven't gotten to it?
I've sourced them before, but I've never followed through and actually got them. I've got a few different things.
Your chayotes you've got. You haven't put those in the ground yet.
Yeah,
have you?
I've got.
Oh, they're in the ground.
Yeah, I've got black chayotes or chocos and white chocos to plant. They're in my back room, and they've got a vine on them like 2 foot long, and I need to get them out, and I just have to set those up. Yeah, there was an interesting story. I got interested in growing chocos again because there was a guy in New Zealand. He found something in his garden, and it was huge. He thought it was a giant potato, so he submitted something to the Guinness Book of Records as the world's biggest potato. They did a DNA on it, and it was a choco or chayote tuber, and apparently they taste like potatoes. I've never tried them, and that got me interested in growing them again, because the last time we had them growing here 30 plus years ago, they took over. They were a nightmare. They went up our avocado trees and took over everything. But I've got a better setup for them away from trees.
You say that. I'd rather see more of the passion fruit. At least you and your neighbor both like eating it. But yeah, we'll see what happens with this. I remember how it took over. I think it killed an avocado tree. It just completely covered it. So Peggy's having a great day there. See. Are pickling cucumbers the same as tomatoes? Are pickling, is it Raquel or is it Rachel? Are pickling cucumbers the same as regular tomatoes? I've never pickled a regular tomato, but I have, well, no. Let me back up. When you pickle tomatoes, you pickle them when they're green. You don't pickle them when they're red. So I would say, yes, you can pickle them very similar. It would be the same as I pickle cucumbers I pickle zucchini. I've got a video on that. It tastes so good. I forgot about that. That's what I've got to do right away this year. But I also pickled, you haven't probably tasted it yet, tree collard stems. Oh my goodness, I was eating them yesterday. It tastes like pickles. Like I did the sauerkraut, just with dill and salt. You didn't taste any.
No.
Oh my gosh. That now I know I will do. It's a little stringy, but I took some of this outside off and that was good. So yes, you can pickle them, but just keep in mind, you do, unless people are doing red, I don't know. I learned from my dad that you pickle them when they're green, which is good for a lot of you in the UK when you've got a point where you know you're going to hit frost.
Yeah, I might just go and get something in there. You can keep talking.
You're good. You can get me some water. When you know you're going to have frost and you've got all these tomatoes growing and you know you're not going to ever get them ripe, sometimes you can force them, but they won't taste right. You can pickle those because you pickle green tomatoes. My dad, his whole life, that's what he did. He worked at a pickle plant. So he was doing pickles all the time at our property. He was pickling at our house. He was pickling at the pickle plant. And I used to go with him. I had such an interest in it. To me, it was so much fun. And they had these giant barrels that were huge. I'm trying to figure out how you could say how big they are. And they were as big as a room. And I would love to go down there. And there used to be a board across. My mother did not know this. Neither did my dad. My dad would be in the office or working inside the building. And these pickles would be outside being made, downtown LA. And I must have been 6, 7, I'd cross, it's like walking the plank, cross the board till I get to the middle. I'd lay down and reach my hand down, moving. They don't make food like this now. The flies and the dirt over, so I could reach down and grab a pickle, crawl back off. I couldn't even swim then. And I was so happy to have my pickle. Nobody figured that out. Nobody knew what I was doing. I think back now, oh my gosh. The only time I got in big trouble is I was sitting at the dinner table. Thank you. I was sitting at the dinner table and I came to dinner with this great big light bulb. This is a funny story. I put it on the table. I was so excited. My dad is so mellow. He never gets angry. My mother will, but my dad wouldn't. He looks at the light bulb and he says to me, "Where'd you get that?" I think we were getting ready to move at the time, or they were talking about moving. And I really wanted this light bulb. And I said, "The garage." And we had a garage that was like 2 stories high. And I remember he did this. He kind of go, "Don't you ever go into that garage up in the loft again." That's all he said to me. I was banded from the loft. And I was upset because I love going into the loft. But he knew for me to get that light bulb, I had to walk a 2x4 this way, walk across all the way to the peak of the garage on the other side. So if I would have fallen, I would not be here doing this. Balance myself like a tightrope, get up there, reach as high up as I could and kind of climb and hold on to unscrew this old 100-year light bulb. It was old. And so he knew where I got it. I don't know where that light bulb is. Nobody took it away from me. I have no idea what happened to it. But that was the only time I got in trouble. So I used to do a lot of stuff. No, I wasn't a tomboy, but I did a lot of stuff. I don't know what he's doing. So there was different things and interests I had. I knew I wanted that light bulb, and I used to love the pickles. And so I grew up in a pickle family. My uncle was the one that owned the pickle plant downtown. It was called Green Valley. And my dad lived his whole life after he got out of the service, the Navy. He went to work there, and he stayed there until my uncle sold it. And then he worked at Campbell's bought it, Durkee's, I think it was called. Durkee's took him on as a foreman, but it wasn't the same. It was a big factory. It was nicer to have a small company. I went there a few times when I was younger because I wanted to see the lizards that were running all over and behind the office, not in the building. So, okay, so Gary's gone. Let's see. I know I've missed a lot. I don't ever skip over somebody for any reason other than there's just so much, and I'm trying to go through here. Marcus, so sorry to hear about Kitty. I know I don't want to talk about it really, but I guess part of me does and part of me doesn't. I was going to call my cousin and talk to him about it. He has a YouTube channel where he's like a therapist. And I was going to call him just to cry. But it's hard. There's days that I literally fall apart. It has nothing to do with YouTube or anything. She was my buddy. She was my friend. she was all about, let's go do something. Just so personal. She's like a little person. I mean, Molly's like, eh, Molly's just a dog, you know. She's like, no matter what you do, it's like, here, I'll shake your hand, you know. And Jack is older than her now, and he's blind, but he's still, oh, he just wants to be carried. I mean, I think he misses her because he's been more like carry me, and so it's been hard because she's been like my best friend. I don't go to a lot of places, and I don't take her a lot of places. I used to leave her home. She's like, didn't really like a lot of people, but she was like really, she was like a little, she was my buddy, and she understood everything you said. You know, it's not dinner time yet. Oh, okay, she'd walk off. Are you going to eat? She'd come in to see, what are you going to make? She was fascinated about things around her. So it's going to be hard. There's days that I still can't believe she's not there. So thank you. I do appreciate it. Yes, Peggy, try pickling zucchini. I cut it up. I don't know if I would do it like you do a pickle unless I got real small ones, you know, whole zucchini. I haven't done that yet, but I slice them up. I get ones that are about that big, cut them up, cram them in there. I do it more simple. My dad has a recipe. I don't have a recipe. I just pack the jar as tight as possible. I pour water. And on the bottom, I put dill because I grow my own dill. Pack the bottom with dill. You can put garlic in there too if you want. Fill it up with tap water if your tap water is okay. I prefer to use bottled water with that. Fill it up with bottled water, pour it out, and then start adding in salt. I don't double dip, but I'll put in some salt and I'll stir it up, let it melt, taste it. And if it tastes pretty good, then I just go for it and pour it back in and then cap it up. And it works really good. So yeah, it's just, I've got a video on it. Dragon fruit is delicious. That's SMP Biker. It is. Gave a dragon fruit to my neighbor. I wonder if she's still staring at it. No, it was strange. I had never seen anything like that. She goes, some of the stores still sell them. I mean, Walmart even sells them. And it's funny, I didn't know what it was. When Gary first started bringing them in, he first started growing them, he'd bring them in. Do you want some? I'd say no. But then I did taste one, and they are really good. Oh my gosh, are they good. So yes, they are really, really good. I'm so glad we're probably going to have another 100 this year. Okay, so Linda in Georgia's got overcast and spits of rain. It actually rained a little, it drizzled here yesterday. Let's see. Okay, Sherry, last year I started a garden. Last year I started a tote garden, it was a bust. We had so much bad weather, it wasn't just me. Sigh, hope this year is better. There was a gardener, I can't remember what state he's in, back east, and he couldn't grow in the ground. And he was having a problem because of so much rain. That was a couple years ago. So I suggested, why don't you put totes? Make sure that the holes are not just on the bottom of the tote, but all the way around, or at least around the bottom, because if the bottom gets bogged, then it won't drain. It will seal up, kind of like a hummingbird feeder. So make sure there's holes all the way around as well. And that's when he grew. He could grow in totes. So if you get a lot of rain and your weather's bad, you said you had bad weather, make sure it drains well, and make sure you're using really good, well-drained soil, and you should be, I would say you should be okay. And there's a lot of little things we can do, like you might have seen the video, I think I put it up, on how I sheltered my peppers, and now the peppers are growing like gangbusters down there because they don't like the cold canyon wind. So there's a lot of little things we can do. Go ahead, Gary. Dragon fruit's $5 in Florida, $8 here.
Zone 9A.
Okay.
I would think you should be able to get away with growing them in Zone 9A if you bring them indoors or somewhere away from the cold during the colder season.
Does it freeze?
9A. I can't think. We're in Zone 10A. Deborah's in 10B, but there are people in 9B that are growing them, but they don't like cold weather. I definitely know that.
Okay, what if you took a blanket from the thrift store and wrapped the whole base in a heavy blanket and just left it for the winter.
Yeah, or cover them overnight. The overnight temperatures is what
The overnight temperature,
gives them
because
a
a
hard
lot of
time.
plants I have found out it's the base of the plant that first that comes out of the ground, about 8 to 10 inches. If you can protect that on a lot of plants, they don't care what's going on top. So I don't know. We haven't tried that, but I would cover them. I should have done something with the papayas. The whole back was papayas, and this year we lost every single one because it was just too cold. That's what we're going to do it in the new area. I'll play. Oh, his yard was fine,
Yeah.
but the canyon breeze it couldn't take.
I'm going to. I was going to bring something out.
Oh, Gary's going to get something. So, oh, we have a dust devil. Haven't seen that before. Okay, so Melinda is 90. You know, they said it was going to be 90 about a week ago, and it didn't happen. So today we're quite warm. So I don't know, but I would try on some plants. You know, try covering the base. You would want it not to be wet. You'd want to keep it dry, so I would cover it with plastic, but make sure it breathes well. Oh, Barbara, see, I love it when you reminisce back to me. Let me tell you something. It's really hard. I will be honest with you.
Okay.
The first few days, I was screaming and crying so bad that my neighbors were sending me hearts on the phone. That's how bad I was. I mean, my sister-in-law called and said, scream when you have to. You know how loud I get. I was screaming, crying, and I was getting hearts sent to me. I asked them the other day, did you hear me? And they said, yes, and we felt so bad for you. She had gone through it because she had lost her dog. Okay.
Okay, since it's got, what do you call that? Not the HMD, DMI.
Oh, we're on the Ethernet right now, and it's going pretty
The
good.
quality looks pretty good.
Yeah.
So this
Because we are plugged in.
I brought this in to my back room to overwinter. So obviously my ginger is ready to go. It would not be like this outside. So I got it started earlier by having it in the back room. That's a ube or purple yam. I've got, I don't know if you can see the tuber on the bottom.
Yeah, the footage.
Is
Now it's working
That's
good.
very tiny. So that's about 1.5 inches in diameter. So it was a small tuber. Purple yams produce bulbils. I haven't been able to get them to produce bulbils here. In Florida, they produce bulbils. But I brought that in, put it with my ginger when I brought my ginger in. Tropicals, they'll die back in the winter. They can handle the cold here, but they can't handle cold and wet. So I brought these in because we had a lot of rain. So I brought them in so that I'd have some inside the house.
In case they die
In
back.
case they die back. Now, I don't know if this is set root or not, but this dragon...
I don't want to touch it. There's spikes on it.
this dragon fruit, it looks like it's starting to set root.
Oh, it is fuzzy on the bottom. It
Fuzzy
might be.
fuzzy on the
It
bottom.
has small roots.
But this fruit that was on it, there's a little purple piece there, or pink piece. There was a fruit there that wasn't ripening over winter. It was a late fruit. It would not have ripened outside. It would have just rotted. So I brought it indoors so that, and I cut this off, brought it indoors, left the fruit on the stem to allow it to ripen. It ripened over winter, which is a first for me. It had no flavour, but it went from green to pink. So it did ripen over winter, but this, if you can get a hold of a cutting in Florida, I'm thinking if you're in 9A, you're not far from someone that would be growing dragon fruit. And I know South Florida's big on dragon fruit. If you can get a cutting, you could have it in a pot and have it set up somehow where you could bring it indoors or move it, maybe with a trellis like Robbie's
The irrigation tube?
irrigation tubing.
The 1/2 inch. I'm going to
You
build
could make
some.
a trellis and have it sort of that you could bring in and out.
So it becomes an indoor plant in the winter.
Yeah,
Because they don't have a massive root system. It's not like they're out in the ground, and they're more of a, what do you call that? The air plants almost.
they're semi-epiphytes.
So that would work. You could move it in and out, and then it will get full of fruit. Fruit is wonderful. And then you can make cuttings and keep the plant short. Now, you don't have to have it 25 feet tall. You can start cutting them. Is that a black?
Okay, I just realised
That's what I looked at. That I thought it was a black turmeric, and you could have multiple plants, but you use them as an indoor plant in the winter.
Yeah, I thought this was all ginger, and
No, this is.
I didn't notice, but this is black turmeric.
Okay, it is because I see the stripe. That's why I looked
Yeah,
at
it's
it.
got a nice sort of stripe on it. It's a fairly uncommon, or I would say rare to uncommon turmeric.
See the stripe? It would be all green if it was just a regular turmeric.
I think Baker Creek is selling this plant
Black?
as blue turmeric.
I think Deborah just bought. My
Yeah,
daughter,
so-
Debbie.
I don't know if they still have live plants, but this year they had blue turmeric for sale. John Kohler did a video at Baker Creek, and he was showing them, and they were calling them blue turmeric, and I believe they're the same plant.
A garage is a safe place for them. Yeah, you could put them in a garage if it's not going to freeze. That's true. I've got some of my turmeric planted by the, what do you call it, truck bed. And then I've got to do the front. Yeah, I have to do the front. I didn't do anything with the fruit you gave me. I didn't do the video because Kitty died.
Oh yeah.
I still have it. That was interesting when we cut it open. I'll have to see if it didn't go too bad. Maybe I can throw something together on that. There was a lot of stuff. It just life came to a halt. So, let's see. John Ray is in 7B.
Yeah. This the purple yam or ube is an entirely different plant than the ochre or the yam you're looking at in New Zealand. This grows as a vine and it shoots way up into the air. It's found across some of the Pacific Islands, New Guinea, Northern Australia, up through up to India, Malaysia. The Austronesians, if you understand who they are, that's the indigenous people of the area in Indonesia, and that includes the Polynesians. That's a big plant for them. I discovered it from
What are we talking about
Gardening Australia. Costa Georgiatus went.
now? Oh, the ubes?
Ube, he went to Queensland, northern Queensland, and they were growing it there in a garden. I can't think what sort of. I can't even think what.
No, I'm not. I didn't. Did I see that he did it live?
He did it live, I think. And
He went to what, like a plant fair or something?
yeah, it was not a market garden, a community garden.
Community garden. Okay.
And I thought, gee, I wonder if I could grow it here. And we can grow it here. So this is way different than far north Queensland up in Cairns. I saw it growing in Cairns. He was in Cairns and he showed it growing, and I thought, I wonder if we can grow it here. But a lot of things, if they die back over the winter as a tuber, you can grow them outside the climate. And I know Barbara C is starting to grow, boy, I must be tired, I can't think,
Oh, I've
water
been that way.
chestnuts. So water chestnuts, you can bring them indoors when they die back, if you're in a colder climate, or heavily mulch things, and you can have them come back year after year.
He puts up a lot of live stuff, and he's in Australia. He's from Gardening Australia.
Gardening Australia.
And nobody really knows he's got a YouTube channel. And he had it live the other night. We sat and watched it during dinner. Well, we didn't watch it live. Gary has gotten up in the middle of the night to watch them live. And they do a lot. I think we learned about our walking onions on there.
Yeah, Gardening Australia, we learned about walking onions.
But yeah, he's worth checking out. I think he's trustworthy. There it is. I hope it's not backwards. Is it backwards? No, I don't. Good, because some people go live and they're backwards, and I'm trying to make sure we're not backwards. So he might be worth checking out. But yeah, we found the walking onions there, and then we went hunting for them. So he's worth checking out. He is the oh, you don't call him sponsor. What do you call it? He's the presenter for Gardener's World, which we haven't seen this weekend. Not yet. Green Country Agroforestry. Oh, I'm losing my voice. I saw something a minute ago. No, it disappeared.
Yeah.
Oh, I had a little ruby-throated pestering me to hold a hose. They do like that. My daughter's got that right now. They take baths and hoses. Go ahead.
Yeah, Melinda, when I posted my video this morning, Melinda Roth, Mark commented, and I said to him, it must be 5. It was some
5 a.m.
5 a.m. in Hawaii, and he said, yep. So he was awake at 5 a.m. I don't know what he's doing during the day, but yeah, he's got a lot of peppers going, and he's really gotten into his peppers this year.
Oh yeah, Melinda's funny too. Melinda gets worried if she doesn't see Mark. You do, Melinda. I've seen that. Oh my gosh, is Mark okay? I know he's got like what 100+ types of peppers, and he's in Hawaii. So you're right. He probably is selling them somewhere.
We haven't got walking peppers that I can just pick up and show, do we? Like a container.
Walking peppers.
Walking onions, I should say.
Oh, walking onions.
What are walking onions? Anathiel.
You do. They're on the truck bed. So ones I actually want to put on the deck. You're going to walk all the way out there? You'll see them there on the...
We're going to be here for a while.
We're going to be here for a while? My battery's going to run dead. This was supposed to be a test. But it's good when I can get him to sit still and do this. Because it's like, can you do a video? I've got so much I have to do. Don't run. And... he just came home to go pick something up, and I said I'm going to try out my new cord, not my cord, that little piece for the Ethernet, and see if I like it. And then he said, all right, he's coming. Walking onions have a really good flavor. They're like green onions, and they're so intense, and you put them in salads, you can cook with them. I absolutely love them, and I'm going to make a field in the ground because nothing's eaten. Oh, look what you just brought back.
Oh, there we go.
There we go. See, we have snails. Just set it free. Set it free. Set it free. That's from what movie?
You can sort of point out the bulbils.
Oh. Okay, so walking onions. This is actually a really bad specimen. They get really thick. I think I moved this in here. It needs new soil. And what you would use is this part. So you would you can see the onion. This is the lower leaf. Let me reach around this way. This is the lower leaf. This is the next leaf. You would want to use the lower leaf, and you would use that for cooking. There's none that have, okay, they've already traveled. You'll see a bulb. Sometimes you get a really thick leaf that comes up on it, and it doesn't look like this. And they look nicer than this. This is a bad specimen. You'll see this ball traveling all the way up, and then it comes to the top, and it bursts open. And then what it does is these are all baby walking onions. See, this is a little onion. I think you can see it. This is a little onion there, and this one is actually going to offshoot another onion here. And sometimes they do that. It's probably so stressed, it probably thinks it's dying, and it better send off as many onions as it can. And a lot of plants do that. But that's what a walking onion is. This stuff is so good.
Yeah. So it kind of develops on this. It develops on the scape. And everywhere it hits the ground, it would travel. So that's
in theory.
In theory.
Whoa, this one's hot because it's dry. This one needs more water. In theory, it would land on the ground, and all these little bulbs there, these little bulbs, they would set root and start to grow. The problem is we're too dry here, so they're never going to do that. So I could take them off. They're a little young, but it could actually snap one off, and this will grow. There's a whole new plant right there. Some people say to wait. My mother asked me once, she said when she was over, what happens if you take them too early? I said, I don't know. So I took one too early, this will grow. So I would just put this in soil underneath, keep it well watered, put in a little paper cup or something, and it will take off and grow. So that's how you grow them. Some people dry them and they store them and then they try to sell them. I don't know how that works because they're not meant to be dried. They're not that type of onion. Sometimes they come back if you get them when they're fairly fresh, but if this dries out, then you have no more new onion. It's gone. It dries out. It's like a seed. It just, it just will dry out. So I don't let them dry. I actually will grab them. I leave them longer until the stem dries out because they're going to be fed from the mother plant. As long as there's any greenery in here, they'll continue to get fed, but even this will grow. So that's how you propagate them. You can eat this. Now, if you wanted to make a fancy salad and take a whole bunch of these, wash them and throw them in a salad, they taste really good, but, well, there's no but. You could eat them. And you don't want to take the whole plant out, though you can, and there'll be a small bulb there. But the point is, if you take your whole plant out, you're out, unless you have hundreds of them. Then it won't matter. Really tastes so good. I happen to like green onion. I like this the best. I have all the onions. This is my favorite onion. And my daughter said the same thing. It's her favorite onion. And Maria can get walking onions there. Keep looking. If they're in Australia, somebody might have brought them in. I can't ship to Greece, can I?
No, I don't think you can.
Okay. Keep an eye out because you may end up finding them. Look for walking onions, and what's the other name? There's a couple different names for it. Google the name because they may call them something else in your area.
Yeah, some people call them Egyptian walking onions. I don't know what else they call them.
I don't know, there might be a couple other names. The thing is, if they try to sell you seeds, it's not the same onion. I have seen them seed, I think twice now in all the years, and I don't think the seeds ever grew. So they're not supposed to seed. This is the plant. It's like having a guppy. If you know what a guppy is, a fish. They have live bearers. These are live bearers. They don't produce seeds. So if somebody tries to sell you seeds, the odds are it's not. It's a plain old green onion, bunching onion, or something else. They're the only ones I know of that will do that.
SMP Biker watched my video this morning, and they do the same thing with the cardboard. Yeah, I put up another video on making leaf mold, and I rattled a couple of people, and their comments got blocked. You have to adapt to your climate. So whatever you see on YouTube, take something from it, and you still have to adapt it to your own conditions. So here, with what works here as far as drainage and different things like that, may not work the same in a place that gets a lot of summer rain. So especially when it comes to composting. But the evaporation, when you put the cardboard around it, like my video, I put cardboard around my compost, the evaporation can only go up. It can't really travel out. And that's what I found when I was getting piles of wood chips. I used to have a real hard time keeping them wet enough, because you think of a mound of wood chips, you've got all that surface area for it to evaporate from. So the first 9 or 10 inches would always stay dry. So it was only breaking down right in the center and down the bottom. So even with wood chips, I prefer to lay it out now. It's a lot easier to maintain the moisture content, and it seems to break down better if it's laid out flatter in our climate.
I thought we froze, but I guess we're back. My phone froze. My phone's battery was almost dead. I wish I could share some of your purple kale. I'm trying to do a lot of cuttings off my purple kale. A lot of the kale right now do have insects on them because the weather's been changing and we're so damp in the morning, so I'm just cleaning them off and pulling off the leaves and composting. Insects and all. I know there's so much stuff I'm showing you missed.
Yeah, there was...
Somebody said they bought some and it didn't work out because I think some people are trying to dry them, and they're not regular onions. They're not sets. They're live sets. Yeah. So it's kind of a hit miss on that.
Yeah, they are. somebody, I don't know where they originated from, but somebody developed them, and if I think they may be a hybrid,
They are.
and if the source that you got them from had other onions flowering at the same time, perhaps one variety got cross-pollinated. I don't know.
Yeah, how they made them? This?
Yeah,
Well, remember I had a regular white onion that threw actual onions that were growing on top? I
Yeah.
tried to keep those, I grew those, and it didn't work. They just went back to seed. So somebody ended up with something like this at some point, but they're well established now.
yeah. Anna Brooks got two from different sources.
Well, you can find them.
Yeah.
I just get leery when I look on eBay. There was a guy that was selling them. I actually called and talked to him, and he had him from his mother. So he had them for a long time, and they were really good. And then there's other ones, you look at them, and it's like, those don't really look like walking onions. So you have to really look at them and read the reviews. Kind of like my strawberries by Seascape, and I didn't get them.
Okay.
How would I know what they
The
were?
Green Country Agroforestry, they send the whole plant. They don't.
The whole plant.
Yes.
Okay.
So some people just sell the bulbils.
And which is fine, as long as
Yeah,
they're fresh.
if you get a good fresh source.
I mean, that's how I don't remember how I got mine. I bought them on eBay from a girl one time. She even said you only need them one time.
Okay, and Green Country Agroforestry, they sell it in the springtime,
Okay.
which is optimal.
Well, that's why it's hard to get, because there's no seeds. So that's why you won't find them in nurseries. There's no seeds. Well, there you go. You plant a whole bunch and you sell them to CPG. And they would sell out like the purple tree colored in a day. Double blessings. Let's see. She's in Oklahoma. They tried growing walking onions, but the grasshoppers ate them. Okay. There's a fix for that. You plant them in totes or containers and you tool them. You cover them. You some sort of protection for them, because they don't need pollinators. So anything that doesn't need a pollinator, you can completely cover them. So there would be a way to fix that if you wanted to really grow them. You can cover your lettuce completely, your kale, your collard, anything that doesn't need a pollinator. You could cover broccoli, because you don't want it to turn into a flower. You want to pick them before. Cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, anything that doesn't need bees, cover them. Put them in you don't have to make a greenhouse, but you can make a greenhouse out of it. So I was going to do that. I'm not going to have time this year, but cover them with something, and you should be good to go on that.
Okay, PD said that when they were in Australia, they sold walking onions. The only quarantine was Western Australia. Yeah, Western Australia's got really strict quarantine regulations because they don't want anything to get in there. And they also mentioned further down they're a hybrid with the Welsh onion, which I knew they had Welsh onion in their background because that's kind of similar. They look kind of similar to that.
Well, they're wonderful because the entire plant is edible. So if you grow a ton of them, then you can pull them out. You have a little onion on the bottom, and you can eat the entire thing. If you don't have a ton of them, just use the greens, use the little bulbils on the top or little bulbs, whatever way you want to eat them. I ordered some Gamble bee slots and more. I ordered once to plant, didn't work out. I don't know if they didn't grow, but if they didn't grow, they might have been too dry. I got walking onions from different places. They both walk. But one bunch at the base and sometimes flowers, while the others is like yours. Are there a difference? I don't know. It depends on when you, okay, this is Anna Brooks. I got walking onions from two different places. They both walk, but one bunches at the base and sometimes flowers, while the other is like yours. Well, it's supposed to be like mine. They may have had one that they tried to grow the seeds from, because I told you twice I've seen seeds and they didn't work out. So maybe that happened to it. But you want the ones, keep the ones that are bulbing and get those going, because those are the right ones. And like I said, that's a bad plant he just showed you. It's usually so full of so much more. I just pulled that out of something and I was going to bring it on the deck and replant it. Cannas. So Linda does. I do have luck with cannas. I think we're pretty much got everybody. You see anything else?
No, I haven't gone back up. I'm at the bottom now. Yeah, cannas. I really like cannas.
You said you're gonna plant some around the bathtub and the fountains.
Yeah, I think I see a hummingbird down there now. The aloe, we've got aloe vera down near the bathtub at the end of the driveway, and it's got yellow flowers. So I'm thinking of planting some. I've got Canna edulis, so I'm thinking of planting some red Canna edulis behind it, so it'll be a combination of yellow and red. I have.
They can't see it, so.
Yeah, I know that. I have two colours of the Canna edulis. I have yellow and I have red. But I think I can plant some red ones down there.
That will look nice. Robot Cajun said your purchased sweet potato sounds a lot like the McDonald burger, the one that the guy left on the fireplace mantle for 20 years. Yeah, forever young. This is a scary potato. That's a scary potato. Now I know why they brought him in so early, and they are good, but whatever they did, probably well zapped. It could still have minerals in it, but it's not going to have any vitamins. It won't grow. It's dead. They do that a lot to ginger too, coming from different countries. They do it a lot with other sweet potatoes as well as the regular orange one I got. You can't get the ones from Hawaii. They zap those. We've tried.
Yeah.
But I've never had them last like this one. So they're irradiated. So they're basically petrified is what they are. Oh, it takes off some of the stuff that people left. That's interesting if it's too far. Love your hats, Melinda. I have Tool, but I'm not worried about the critters unless they're really tearing things up. SMP Biker. That's what I do. I've got Tool, and I had a zucchini one, something chewed it, and it's like, no, I didn't tool it. I could have, but it was like they're not touching the others. I've tooled some and not. You can't tool everything. If you tool everything and you've got critters, they'll be desperate at that point. So you want to leave something for them. I tool what's important. I'm going to tool a lot more back here because I'm really working back here right now. I may make I don't know, but I may make a tool tent here because the monarch came and laid eggs. My battery's dying on the, it's gonna close down in a second. So I may try to save the monarch butterflies. We'll see when they hatch. We're gonna have to say goodbye. Look,
Yep.
look, because it says that it's gonna shut off. It's only got 10% and I have no plug here. So I think we've been on for a long time.
Actually, I think it's frozen.
It did freeze. Oh no! If you can hear us, I can't go to low power. If you can still hear us, we're getting off. Everybody have a wonderful day. Let me see if I can close this, if it will keep going. Okay, I hope it came back for a second, but my tablet is shutting down. So I'm going to have to tell everybody, have a wonderful day. I think we are frozen.
Yep.
Tablet is gone. The battery.
Yeah, thanks for spending time with us. And that's cool, John Ray, you've got a brown thrasher nest.
We're back for a second.
I haven't seen our thrasher for a little while. We had two of them coming into our garden, but they've moved on, I guess.
Okay, they're saying they can still see and hear us,
Yep.
but my tablet is letting me know it's got 10% battery, so it's going to die any second. So it's not like when I'm gone, I'm gone. That's why I'm letting you know. I didn't expect to stay on this long. I don't even know how long we've been on. So, no, it's gone.
What's that number? It says 160.
Oh, wow. We've been on a long time. I got stuff I got to go do. So everybody have a wonderful day. This was fun. it's gonna shut down, and the cable works now. So I don't know what was going on earlier, but I still might buy another cable and try something else. So have a great day. I know I've missed a ton of questions. Maria, thank you so much. And Barbara C, I know you've got a wrench. I know Maria's a really hard worker out there.
Oh, yeah. She's been busy today.
Maria,
Thanks, Maria.
is busy. So you should post your garden one day, Maria. So everybody have a wonderful day. I should double check to see if she isn't. I don't know what show. I don't know what that is. Oh, no, don't take it off. Okay, have a great day. Again, Maria, thank you. And now I guess we're going to have to end this.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. And I don't know how to end this. There it is. Bye-bye.